Hello, everybody.
Hey,
I
hey,
have the wrong tab pulled up. That's
hey.
all right. I can get my music going while I'm doing that. Ah,
Ah,
yes, Mozart. Lovely.
so
My
civilized.
my nth movie recommendation is Amadeus. I know I've said that 100 times, but God, I love that movie. Let's see here. I need to watch it again. Actually, I need to watch it with Elise. So hello, the two of you that are here. Appreciate you. We're gonna
Hey, folks.
gonna wait for some more folks to trickle in. But yeah, welcome to Chip Off the Block. Hello, Albine. Nice to see you. Hope you're having a pleasant Wednesday evening. Also, I didn't know whether or not to take the snow filter off. I kind of like the snow filter. I'm going to leave it on as much as I can. Uh,
So winter. I mean,
yeah, and we're supposed to
right?
get snow tomorrow where I'm at, so, you know, I feel like it's fair. A little
And I
light
wish I
dusting.
got snow tomorrow. So, like, yeah, leave that on. Hopefully, it'll be as close as I can get to that.
Reminds me of there's this meme of just like, um, uh, what did they used to use for fake snow? And there's this bag that says made with asbestos on it. I'm like, oh god.
Oh my god. But yeah,
What's
I
up,
always like to
Soul?
think that they just use like the snow. They use the ice that's too thick and painful to actually fall from the sky. So, because I remember when I was a kid, I went up to New York. I went up to New York at one point, and one of the first things we did was go to one of those hotels around Christmas time that was doing the whole like, yeah, hey, we have snow for the kids to play in. It was really shaved ice that they blew out of blowers. But when that stuff settles on the ground and you basically take it and tried to make it into a snowball, what you basically made was an icicle,
That's
vaguely snowball shaped. And man, that was like bowling for kids. That stuff hurt. That was not fun for anyone.
thank you. I hope you're having a great evening as well. Thank you.
Oh,
Soul said, "Neg 2 crew, hateful. Hate that has so much energy. It's just just one word, hateful. I am feeling a little hateful today. Not particularly though. I just oh, I tell you, these NFT people, sick of them. But we're not gonna get into that. That's not what the stream's about. Uh,
I already have it all over Twitter. We don't need it here.
yeah, I already made a big ranting post about how much I can't stand NFTs. So thank you. You're very welcome. So thank you for your hate. Yes, let the hate flow through you.
I just don't want them involved in my gaming space. The fact that they're already trying to insert themselves forcibly into my video games bugs me. Please stay away from my dice rolling. Thank you verily.
Low energy vibes, what we up to? So this is Chip Off the Block. Yeah, we do have low energy vibes. It's a sleepy kind of day. I just had a sloppy Joe with mac and cheese, so you can imagine the state I'm in.
I think I had 2 dinners today. That was all I ate. I had no breakfast and 2 dinners.
You hobbit, you.
Great.
We got a Chip Off the Block, where we do a recap of the previous session, a review of the previous session, and then we take new requests, the triple R. And last session was oh man, I'm having a brain fart. We had Kat, the lore mistress, and we had Neil from Fey Earth on with us, and that was the last stream of 2021. So welcome to the first stream of 2022. Sorry it's so low energy. But you know, we're just kind of vibing. And also happy to say, I'm sure some of you noticed, there's ads running on the channel now. So I'm an affiliate, and now I'm making ad revenue off of you lovely people, and I can also get subscribers. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. That's not me encouraging you to subscribe. I don't need your money. Any money that you give me is going to go right back into the show, mostly to get my ass a new webcam, because this one isn't working very well. But regardless, so I just said you didn't need to subscribe. Thank you, man.
You don't get to say things like that and not expect recompense. You know this.
Oh, thank you, Soul.
Like it's a bad thing.
Thank you, Soul. Soul's already subbed to me on my coffee and all that. Like, he doesn't... Thank you. Thank you for being our first subscriber. You know me, right? I do know you. You're a regular philanthropist, man, I gotta say. Well, thank you for the follow, Solar Dice. Oh, Solar Dice! Yeah, I see you on Twitter. What, the first? Yeah, you're the first subscriber on Twitch. I think you were also my first subscriber on Coffee too. Now that I think about it, maybe I don't remember. Brain empty. So
empty. It's hollow in here, man.
It is hollow in here. Hal gonna kill me? I was, yeah. Why's Hal gonna kill you? She's happy. Happy I'm being successful in something that isn't a visual art. Sorry, visual artist. I love you, but your job's a little bit easier than mine. I have to get you people to come in here and listen to my shit. But
we forgive you. It's okay.
Yeah, we forgive you, visual artists. No, I'm kidding. So we'll scroll down. So let's just get right into it, I think, honestly. Like, so obviously episode 4, Neil helped us coin the term wordsmithing. That's what we're going to be calling our secret words that we take and... Oh my god, I should have gotten a cup of coffee. Sorry. So we took the words. Each of us has 3 words every week on the Thursday show. I have my guests prepare theirs in advance. I don't. So welcome, Derek. Nice to see you made it, man. Much love to you, and thank you for announcing my stream. I appreciate you, man. I just noticed a typo. That's annoying. But so we each have 3 words every week, and tomorrow as well. Hype train. Oh, thank you for the sub, man. Thank you.
Nice.
You guys are too kind. God. Oh man.
Cannoli.
I need to make the show adult so I can cuss at stuff like this.
You're allowed to occasionally. You're okay.
Occasionally. I already said a bad word. I can't say any more bad words. Thank you, Derek. Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate your patronage. everywhere that you patronize me. But damn, we almost got a hype train. What's going on? this is my first affiliate stream. Damn. Thank you guys. I really thank you. I'm sorry I'm so low energy. It's just I do appreciate you. I really do. I need to get a cup of coffee during the break. I'll do that. But anyway, yeah. What? You gifted a sub to Omni. Omni, thank you. No, I'm kidding. Thank you. Thank you for the gift sub, man. I appreciate you. God, you. Ah! Oh man, you guys are getting me all flustered. Okay, energy's here though. I have my energy now. So, like I said, for the nth time.
It's only fair.
No, you don't need to. It's fine.
Get wrecked.
No,
get wrecked.
Hype train.
Get wrecked.
Where's my train, bro? We need a tiny secret locomotive stat.
Oh god.
I think I have emotes now. I think you guys can use emotes, right? I got emotes from a friend of mine. His name's Enio, I believe that's his name. I'm sorry. I'll see if I can pull him up during the break. I'll definitely want to shout him out because he for the Goblin Gift Exchange, he actually made me emotes. That was that's such a thoughtful gift. Thank you. I'll have to pull that up. But anyway, back to what we were saying for the nth time. We each have 3 words, total of 12 every week. We've sort of decided as the show goes on. Thank you for the bits, man. I appreciate you. Help me out with bits. Bits are just a single bit is a penny, right?
It's a fraction of a penny, yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate you, man. God, you guys are too good, I guess. I'm not worthy of all this.
Shut up, you're worthy. You're worthy. Your co-host tells you that's not the way that it works.
Okay. But we picked God, I'm so giddy now. We picked out 8 words out of the 12 that we came up with. So we have Starlight, Spirits, Stories, Arc, Oil, Wildlife, Void, and Dreamscape. We covered 5 of them, right?
I think so, yeah. Which was actually pretty decent. Like,
oh, the train has begun.
That's right.
Let's go. Thank you, Omni. God.
Get dunked on, co-host. Deal with it.
Oh man. Trying not to cry. Thank you. You guys are too good.
I do my best. A little philanthropy.
Oh man, thank you. Jesus, you guys are too good.
Get yourself that new camera.
I will. Wow.
Souls, my man.
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
You know it. Yes. And so the tiny secret locomotive comes rolling on through.
Yes, give us your tears.
Welcome to the affiliate life. It's full of... Okay, it's not full of money. That's saying way too much. But it's occasionally money. And people who love you will invest in you.
Stop
like that.
giving subs! It's fine, I promise. Thank you. I'm losing my mind. I don't even know what to say anymore. Omni, you're the fucking co-host. Take over.
I'll take over if you need it. I'll give you 1 second. Hey everyone. Hey everyone. Thank you. Also, you can keep donating subs if you want to just throw him off his game, just to make him have a good time. But hey, we love you guys. Thank you so very much. This has been wonderful. This is wonderful. That's the end of the stream. Good night. Bye.
No, it's not the end of the stream.
I'm kidding.
I know you're trying to get me refocused. Level 4 hype train. Thank you guys so much. Stop! You don't have to keep donating. It's fine, I promise. Oh my god.
Too late.
Oh, I love you
Too
guys.
late. Seriously, love you guys so much. Thank you. This is how you launch an affiliate channel right here. Thank you all so much for giving my man a lot of love.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking cry. Thank you.
Good. Good. Get on Twitter, let them know there's free subs to snag if they want to jump on.
Oh, yeah, what a way to start the year. Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Soul. I owe you guys a lot. I mean, both of you sort of just rang me into the community who were so welcoming. I mean, I wouldn't be doing any of this if it weren't for either of you, you know? Oh, thank you. Genuinely, thank you. I don't know what
There
else
you
to say
go.
other than thank you without sounding disingenuine, but
If it
genuine.
makes you feel better, literally everyone goes through this exact moment, which is, wow, that's a crap load of subs. I have nothing I can say that will express my gratitude properly. But tears and thank you.
Thank you for being you, Red. Thank you. Thank you for the follow, Crystal Wizard. That's a cool name, by the way. I like that.
Yeah, that is a really cool name.
Thank you for being you, Red. Well, thank you, Bond, for supporting the stream, and thank you for being with such a cool dude, might I say.
Thank you. Thank you. We both we do our best to bring the cool together.
I'll say it one more time before I say it. Soul said so, Writer's Block. Yes, Writer's Block.
Yes, yeah, so, the show. Hey, it's a thing, right?
Oh, man. Okay, thank you, guys. Holy shit. Level 5 hype train at the bank. Okay.
Go.
Oh. Let me get a drink of water. God.
Cheers to that, sir. Welcome to Affiliate.
Oh,
Much
man.
success to you and the channel.
Thank you. God. I need a drink after that. Oh, okay.
So.
With level 5 hype train, I'll try to carry on.
We'll do our best.
Hydration is vital, so is posture check. My posture's pretty bad. I need to get one of those little posture necklaces. Probably a good investment for the show, honestly.
There we go. Don't get old, folks. Don't get old.
I'm 20. I feel 40.
I'm 30. I feel 30.
Yeah, you don't look a day over 21, man. I'm serious.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. If I shave the beard, I know I get carded all the time, so that's frustrating.
So we covered 5 words, right?
Yes, 5 words last week.
So we got.
I scroll down the document myself.
Spirits arc stories, which we did really good job doing arc and stories. We literally created a new faction.
Yes, we have yet another faction going up in this biz, and it was glorious. Loved it. And yet another secret society as well, too. So, like, GMs out there, you're gonna have a lot to play with when we drop the demo, and eventually a more like finalized, revised version of this.
The arc is cool. I really like how the arc turned out. Yeah. Derek's 70 years old. That's rough. Sorry, man.
I mean, at least you're getting Medicare now, right? Like, that's gotta be nice.
Soul said 38 here. God. Yeah. You're old enough to be my father. Like, unironically.
Yeah, that is... Yeah. It's one of my favorite
That's
things.
cool, though. I like that. I like that I can work with anybody from, like, any age range. Derek, I'm an old man.
I mean, you know, perks of being a millennial. Like, I got to be here for the beginning of the internet, and man, who has it grown beyond my wildest expectation? No, actually, I always knew it was going to explode. But holy crap, it's still impressive. And I'm just glad to be here and not be one of my parents or grandparents who genuinely still struggle to understand it. So huzzah for being old yet young enough to get this shit.
Hey, what's
That's
up,
my
Naris?
customer.
Nice to have you. I mean, you can cuss as much as you want. This stream is so impromptu now. I didn't expect this amount of. I don't know why I didn't expect this amount of love. You guys are just the best community on the internet. Thank you, genuinely.
Nice.
You've, since we're off the rail, with a hype train, like that. Anyway, segue. Cool.
I love it.
I wanted to say thank you guys for making. The beginning of 2021 and the end of 2022 was a really, really rough time for me. But when I found this community, middle of last year, I just felt immediately welcome. I didn't feel like I was talking to people I would never be able to work with or anything like that. I always felt like I was equals with people, even though, you know, I'm a smaller creator right now. You guys make things seem possible. So thank you for that. And getting away from a bunch of toxic communities and getting right into this one, it is night and day. It's like out of the oil and into cold water. It's just such a pleasant flash. So thank you. And I want to use that to say it's never too late and never too early to cut toxic people out of your life, because I have been nothing but better for it, thanks to you guys. So, thank you.
Heck yeah.
I genuinely mean it. Thank you.
It's always been a pleasure, man. Always will be.
Nara said, just got out of work, only food runner today, only 3 servers were in. Ugh. Also, I stayed a little later to make to-go sauces in advance. I'm not going to be there tomorrow, and at least I can do. That was very nice of you. I tried to do that. When I worked food, I tried to do that kind of stuff too. Just try to help out the people in the morning. But at the same time, people in the morning would screw me over. So, but
yeah, eventually there's a point where you're just like, I want to be nice, but how much is it going to get me in this job? It depends on you. It depends on your job, doesn't it? Unfortunately. So, as I slowly shrink the document I'm working on for the Caltrop Core game, which I started. Yeah. So, the Ark. Yeah. You want to touch on that a little bit quick and just sort of like give us a breakdown of it? Or you want me to talk? We want to take it over a little bit.
I could definitely talk about the Ark. I need to sort of get back on my flow after that.
That's fair.
Derek said, "Fucking love you, man. Love you too, brother." He also said, "Love you, Omni."
Much love, bro. Much love.
All
you folks out there in the chat.
Every shift hates the other as a long-term third shifter. Yeah, I hate the morning shift. That was usually the shift I didn't like. The few times I had to work the morning shift, kind of rough. Because everybody knew I didn't like them. Because I'd always talk shit about them. Mostly because they were just terrible people. But, you know, I'm not a catty person. Centrifuge. Hello again, everyone. Welcome, man. Welcome. Nice to have you. Let's talk about the Ark. So, we were talking about... so Neil's words that he chose were, I think, Ark and stories.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, and he was sort of like talking about a society that sort of, not stories in the traditional sense of like Shoe Lane, Teller of Tales, or anything like that, or like a whimsical storyteller, like a Roma or Western Celt, but more so like they make stories out of things from the Metaswan to sort of gain influence over people in a sort of Freemason-esque secret society kind of vibe. They're they're almost information brokers, but in the sense that they don't necessarily deal information to people outside of their organization. But his word was the Ark, so I decided, well, this is an improv show, so we can I can do whatever the hell I want. It's my show. Shut up. But we decided, well, why don't we use words as like titles for things? You know, so just like I thought the perfect name for this organization would be the Ark, because that's basically what they are. They're this big conglomeration of people with information that are sort of like keeping, or they believe they're keeping humanity afloat. So I thought the Ark would be an appropriate name for them, provided by Neil.
It also is really useful for the practical purpose of them studying the arc of history. And it speaks a lot to both what they are and what they do, just generally speaking. So,
anyone else's stream crashing? Are we having issues?
No, I'm not having any issues with it, buddy.
I was having a little bit of a weird buffer in the stream rate.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on my end. It could be that you guys might need to... If anyone's having any issues with stream crashing, I'd recommend restarting a browser. Occasionally, that will happen on Twitch. Sometimes you gotta make love to the Twitch side and hope that it reciprocates. In this instance, unfortunately.
Graphics a bit of a blur at a time. Yeah, Omni were actually talking about it before the stream. We were talking about just like switching to like avatars. I don't think it would take too much away from the stream, but I don't know. We'll talk about it.
As a backup, it might be nice in case we ever have enough camera issues to warrant it.
We are running ads, folks. I'm sure you've noticed. So there's that.
Why? Because money. That's
money. Why. I like making not money off of you, but money from making this content. It's nice.
Yes, money to put back into the channel, folks, which is pivotal.
That's what I want to do. I want to put all this money back into the channel so I can upgrade my stuff, upgrade my viewers' stuff, and just generally have a better experience. So, again, thank you for bearing with us through the ads. I know ads are annoying, but they help the show. So, if you have an ad blocker on, I know it's a pain, but please turn it off if you could.
We promise we'll do our best to keep the commercials to a relative minimum.
Yeah,
but, like, we need that.
There's usually only one every now and then. Like every 30-ish minutes. Money is the root of all evil, and I want to be super evil. Yes, that's true.
I'd do it.
The ads are worth it just to see your smiling faces. Spawn, you're too sweet, thank you.
Much too sweet, seriously.
I think we did a brief... The Ark is a secret society of people that sort of instill... They're very... I want to say they're parasitic. They're almost parasitic to the point where they insert themselves into societies and sort of like... they're not parasitic. They're like viruses. They sort of like live off of everybody else's
there's a symbiosis there.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
But it's like a toxic symbiosis. It's not usually
right. And
good.
it depends on the individual too, or on like the different group. Because again, like, it's important for us to clarify this, as we always do. Eos is a post-apocalyptic world that's just getting started. Like, the biggest structures of politic are city-states. That's it. Like, if you remember how huge the empires in, like, Greece were, where it's like, oh man, these guys own, like, 200 miles of territory. Look how badass they are. That's probably the peak of where we're at in like, the level of civilization. So, the Ark probably is as diverse as the different communities it inhabits. And some of them are probably altruistic. Others are basically just gaslighters and fearmongers. But they're all scholarly sorts who deal with the past. And yeah, they definitely have very symbiotic existence. Some definitely parasitic, for sure. 1 billion%.
Absolutely. And let's see here. So for tonight's prompts, folks, I actually have polls now, so I will be putting those up. I have a question that I can't remember. How long since the bonk?
We're just gonna need to put out a shirt with it, man.
Damn it! Why?
We're just gonna need to.
What is? Oh man, Mark, why? You ruined me.
I'm also gonna be like tagging out the like a couple questions and stuff for us to answer as well from some of you folks, because I'm seeing some of these. So, just so you know, seen it.
Crystal Wizard said, "Do the Ark or members have a goal?"
Yep.
Yeah, but I think they don't have like a guild-wide goal. They have sort of like personal motivations and stuff like that. They're gonna sort of they all have their own agenda. Like, some might want to literally just run an entire city-state, while others want to sort of be more of a criminal sort of underground organization, so they're not the constant face of a particular place or what have you. Some people are literally just information mongers that want to gather as much information as possible from from the old world. But
there could even be like really small groups of the Ark where all they're doing is going like, hey, we're part of like a 50-man caravan, and my sole job is to make sure these idiots don't throw away any books that are of relevance.
Yeah, but they all sort of like work with one another. It's sort of a brotherhood, sisterhood kind of thing, where if they encounter another group of the Ark, which the Ark is everywhere, they're scattered, which makes them sort of weaker than they could be. But that's sort of like different philosophies dragging people apart. And rather than trying to make them work together, they just split apart and work when needed. So
it's literally Freemasons was the reference we made, where it's like, basically the only thing they really have in common is the broadly stated goal of gathering and disseminating information. And that can be as varied as it sounds.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
But yeah, I guess the closest thing they would have to like a primary goal is just understanding the teachings and the stories given to them by Dust, as well as also the past, generally speaking. Just gathering data. That's probably as close to a unified goal as they have. So
Then if you should look, it's easy to remember. Okay, fine. Yeah, you can call it that word, but I'm not going to.
I
I
as
call it
his
the end.
co-host, am legally obligated to say I will not call it that.
Let's get this block. Yeah, you're damn right. Let's get this block. I really need to find Enio's Twitter handle. I'll do that right now, actually. But Centrifuge said, but since the name to be determined later, bonk. Oh my god, it does kind of make a difference in how different places can be. I.e., is there a living memory of pre-bonk? No.
I think we put a pretty hard like no on.
We've definitely capped it. Like people don't know, people don't understand it. It's been too long, and nobody recorded that sort of thing, and nobody was able to necessarily record that thing. They were too worried about survival because the recording of history only came when we could assure survival.
And honestly, I'm just going to put this out there from a totally world building perspective, beyond any practicalities in the universe. It is honestly more fun for creators, like players, DMs, writers to have wiggle room to do whatever they want with that. I don't think we will ever truly clarify exactly what the BONK was, and I really don't think that's a thing we're ever gonna do. So as a result, we'll have. If you've ever played World of Darkness, or if you've ever played Warhammer 40k, or any game like that, where there's different factions and they sort of leave enough of the lore vague, where it's like, wow, look at all these cool little plot hooks. I wonder how many of them are real. The answer is all of them and none of them. What are you going to use? And that's exactly what we're going to do with that. We're never going to clarify exactly what happened. We might put out conflicting, but I think we will probably put out conflicting messages as to what happened, just to let people have choices to use if they like.
And that's fine, because like you can have, for that exact reason, you can have one world feel so much bigger than it actually is.
Yeah. The Knights of the Bonk Republic. For a prequel series.
Oh my god.
It's pretty good.
I hate it, but I love it, I think.
Yeah. It's too good.
Sorry, I was checking some things. I just posted Enio's Twitter handle in the chat. They're a really cool person. Like I said, they're the ones that made these emotes that you guys have now. So if you like those emotes, if you like cool people, I definitely highly recommend giving Enio a follow. Very, very thoughtful, very kind person. Fun to interact with as well. But yeah, we did. So we got past Arkan stories.
We also had Wildlife in the Void, which was a really fun thing.
That was a fun one, yeah.
So we've been dodging like wildlife ever since we started the AS world building. Not intentionally, it's just every time we started talking about it, we ended up on literally anything else. And we basically decided that the void is a term to describe the places where mankind cannot go on this world, whether that be because of dust concentration or it's just too far away from the localities. And so we classify wildlife not in the same way we do now in taxonomical terms, because wildlife in the voids kind of gets crazy. Between the dust and residual magic and who knows what horrifying radiation or super science after effects might be from the great end of all things. So wildlife is kind of crazy. A lot of like refraction of wildlife into itself. So things like giant squid bears or practically dinosaurs, literal dinosaurs. We don't know.
Why
Weird
not?
stuff. Yeah, exactly. Basically, if you ever wanted to make a horrifying monster, and or you've watched the movie Annihilation, then you're kind of in the right ballpark. And the deeper you go into the void, the more terrifying and strange and eldritch these creatures go. So, depending on how far towards the void you get, you'll either encounter outer void life, inner void life, or deep void life. And if you get to deep void, then yeah, no, you're basically hitting Jabberwocky levels of fucked. So yeah, that's what we did, I think.
You say Jabberwock? I was thinking of Wabbajack from Elder Scrolls.
Yes, I was referencing Jabberwock and Vorpal Weaponry, but I can't deny you that reference. That's perfectly fair. That's just as good.
I love doing his voice. I love doing what's his name? Shagoraf. Shagoraf. Everybody pronounces it differently. Here be monsters. True.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
remember something from the train episode. I think I was too late to bring it up in time. Basically, it came to a take on pre-Nagasaki steel. Yeah, no, you brought that up. I remember you. I remember Omni pointing that out.
Yeah.
I think metal having special properties. Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely a thing that we mentioned at one point in the past.
Deep void equals
Which,
Cthulhu. I want to. Yes
like,
and no.
yeah, like it's definitely in that level of like. I think the possibility of Cthulhian style monsters, things man was not meant to know, totally fits in there.
Yeah.
But we're leaving it again kind of intentionally vague. Like to put it in perspective, right now for the Caltrop core game, I actually have rules written out for different levels of like the creatures you might encounter going into the void. And basically all I'm filling out is base stats. I'm not even like providing hard base stats. I'm providing a template of like, this is the lowest stat you'll have, this is the highest stat you'll have. Leave it up to you with discretion to what you'll do based on the level of depth in the void. And here's a couple of cool special abilities to tag on to each one to make them kind of cool or unique.
Yeah.
And because it's intentionally kind of chaotic. It can be anything from, I mean, the void is very varied. It's all sorts of things. It could be a desert that's just too difficult to traverse into. It could be the deep of the ocean. It could be a literal forest. So whatever's walking around in there is going to be highly diverse. And so yeah, basically, in short, GMs and writers, again, we're leaving you a lot of latitude in there. Make what you want. Put it in that place for the scary things. It's what it's there for.
Outer void, inner void, deep void, singularity. Ooh. So
Ooh, yeah.
it's just the
That's-
end. Just suck everything in. Say screw it. Is there
That's where
pre?
you. That's
Sorry.
where you reach like pure SCP levels of nightmare fuel.
God.
If you get into singularity.
SCP like tries to take itself so seriously, but the concepts are goofy and weird. So
That's
like,
the whole point. Like, whenever I read them, it's like literally the names are goofy, silly ideas, and then someone takes it off the rails.
yeah, like the pee pee poo poo man.
I forgot about the PP.
I don't think that's an SCP. I think that might have been like an actual movie or something. But is there any pre-bonk items, materials, info? Yes. And no. They're not really the information. A lot of the information was sort of in pre-bonk world. God damn it! I hate that I'm saying that now. In the old world, the way they kept track of information was written in this very complicated, almost like a. I want to say it's almost like a coding script, like a very complicated coding script, almost like Python or something like that. I don't know if Python's complicated. I'm just using that as an example, but
I mean, coding enough where most people don't know how to do it. That's complicated enough, I would say.
Knights of the Bonk Republic is your favorite era. Thanks. But yes, there is like old items left over from the old world. There is information, but it's incredibly difficult to come by, and it's not easy to sort of garner it. There's literally a nation that dedicates literal lives of people to just like sucking their souls out, basically. Not souls, sucking their life force away just to translate this stuff that you otherwise couldn't translate. But yeah, there is a lot of stuff that's like remnants left over. It's not like Planet of the Apes where you're gonna see like the Statue of Liberty sticking out of the ground, but you'll see like leftover buildings and stuff like that, like the stone and metal framework of things just rusting away in the winds.
The biggest thing too with the technology as well is that I'm just gonna lean into it. The bonk altered not just the state of magic in the world, but it kind of bent the laws of physics a little bit. Not enough for the average person to really be too concerned, but enough for anybody who's engineered particularly complex machines that depend on things like, say, the speed by which like a particular semiconductor might work, or the distances between circuit boards determining the effectiveness of a circuit. That kind of stuff is sort of glitchy at best, if not outright non-functional, which is why
Yeah.
dust is so pivotal. It can establish a degree of normality, but at great cost. So, is it possible to find like ye old grenade launcher or like shoulder mounted rocket launcher? Possibly. Can you use it? Well, that's a giant roll of the dice, and good luck to you, sir. I hope you have someone nearby with either a lot of dust or probably more likely a very well stocked medical kit and ER ready to service you, whatever the equivalent might be for your community.
Nah, here we
You'll
go.
need it.
Omni's talking about servicing people.
You know, I
Supposed to
mean,
be
when
a
you're good at
PG
thing,
stream.
it ends up in every conversation.
But there's a video of this fellow on the internet that's firing a 50 caliber rifle. It's a single shot 50 caliber rifle. Thing exploded on him. Like it literally blew up. So that's kind of what things would be like. Because the thing is with mostly not so much the guns, but more so the munitions.
Yeah.
The ammo that you put into a gun. Given what sort of drastic changes it's been through, that particular 50 caliber bullet that he had somehow changed temperatures or just had something happen to it. So it got really hot or really cold all of a sudden and stuff like that. It can really screw with the nature of a munition. So if you were to put a rocket that you found in a pile of sand into a rocket launcher and tried to fire it, you may well have a munitions failure. It's very likely that you're going to have a munitions failure just because of the drastic change of climate in the world of Aeus and stuff like that from the apocalypse, the end happening. I'm calling it the end, by the way. Okay, it's the end.
I think that's good. I think we kind of been codifying that a little bit, at least in the Caltrop core book. The end of all things is what I frequently end up saying.
Yeah,
So, like,
just
I
the
think that
end.
works.
It's just been.
Yeah.
I once saw a bullet explode in a chamber because of the temperature of the barrel. Yeah, that's a really big concern. There is a gun that a lot of people probably know about. It's called the G11. It's this weird German clockwork gun that works with like it's over engineered in a word. Basically, it had caseless ammunition. So the biggest problem with that gun is it would feed in caseless ammunition, but the barrel would get hot, and the ammunition would go off in the barrel just out of random, and it would like sometimes explode the gun. Yeah, that's. I need to step out for a bit, but I'll try to be back soon. Well, thank you for stopping by at all, Neris. I appreciate you. If you can't be back, have a good night, and I appreciate you stopping by. But if you can be back, I'll be waiting for you. We'll be waiting for you.
And honestly, like, that's also, we haven't established the true level of technology pre-end. And I think the general consensus is advanced enough, or advanced asterisk, between magic and the tech of the time. So we could be talking about a civilization where weaponry might have guided munitions or microcomputers in all their munitions to begin with.
Because that is what we're hurtling towards in our society.
I mean, we already have it.
We
have
already
grenade
have
launchers that have that are designed to detonate on altitude or after a specific flight time, so that they don't actually have to land on the ground. They just kind of fly over a trench and then rain molten metal down. We have bombs that open into smaller bombs that open into smaller guided drones that open into smaller little floating robots that just sort of gently flutter down. And if anything's unfortunate enough to get in line of sight, it pumps about a good, like, I think 6 grams of molten copper through them at supersonic speed.
What humanity will do to kill each other.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so imagine if all that stuff tomorrow we woke up and we were like, oh, so it turns out everything about electronic engineering is wrong now. Would you touch that?
No.
Because if you would, you're braver than me, but also if you're in Aeus, you're probably more desperate than me, so
That's
maybe.
Fair. I'd hate for a CPU to get so hot that it would literally go molten and explode.
That'd be kind of cool, though.
It'd be cool, but I wouldn't want to be within like a kilometer of it.
I mean, yeah. That actually could be a really interesting idea for like a core game eventually. The idea that a failure for ancient technology, like, and dust improves the likelihood. And there's catastrophic failure is basically a meltdown, and only partial successes. You get a meltdown, but before that, you might get something useful. some ideas for a game eventually. But this is not merely for games. This is for world building broadly. So
Yeah, because we have had people already write in this world. Adam Eason. I will post that in the Twitch chat for folks to take a look at. Oh man, that was a nice rhyme. You like that? Let's
that was
see.
pretty spicy.
That was pretty good. That's right. Grumble, grumble. Let's see here. But
a little closer that way.
We encourage you people. I said that so in such a hostile way. We encourage the viewers, you people that enjoy the show, that enjoy AES, please consider talking to us. If you want to write like short fiction, what Adam wrote here is about 2,000 words, so that's flash fiction. He wrote a cool story here. He sort of took lore tidbits that we have established, and he made his own stuff, and he ran with it, and that's exactly what we kind of want to encourage in this. Like, we want it to be a not just a modular system to roleplay in or to do a TTRPG, and we also want it to be a modular system to write in, and we want you to feel open and welcome. We don't want you to feel like you have to do a bunch of homework before you can, just enjoy this world. All you need to do is have a few of the concepts in mind for it, perhaps use a few names, because that's satisfying, right? But we're not trying to do a Warhammer 40k thing here. You don't need to know everything about the world to know anything at all.
Yes. This isn't Forgotten Realms. We're not going to punish you for not knowing the name of the tavern that's in Waterdeep. You're good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The Yawning Portal. Centrifuge said I like the idea of just nudging some of the periodic table, even if you don't explain it, and then add dust to it. Yeah, dust is definitely an element, quote unquote. Just has the potency of almost depleted uranium.
It's literally fossilized magic, and in this setting, magic is not, I'm going to pull out my book and read this formula to produce these highly reliable results we have tested over hundreds of years. No, this is, I'm going to call down the power of the stars through a tether I don't even know how I got, wave my hand, depending on how much effort I put into it, I may or may not accidentally atomize a mountain or create cool sparkles. It is highly unstable and really powerful. So dust is much the same and just as dangerous in its own cool kind of way. So
back to our recap, because we did have some great questions, and I'm glad to answer you guys' questions in the chat, so keep them coming if you have any. Or even just suggestions, anything like that. I'm going to take a little bit away from the chat. I'll still be watching it, so don't worry. But recap. So after we did, we literally made an entire organization. We sort of established that some people believe that these sort of voices that they hear from the Metaswam, or this dust neural network, are the voices are just ghosts rather than something more complicated. Most people probably believe them to be just geists, ghosts, that sort of thing. But so the prompts we got around to, we did. People had some really interesting words. We had vicarious and syncopation. So we went into this long conversation about how music is created from patterns, and you can sort of create music, quote unquote, from patterns in learning. And dust-sensitive people are naturally... Neil suggested that dust-sensitive people are naturally gifted musicians, so they sort of have like an internal syncopation.
Yeah, I remember that. Which is a really cool idea, by the way.
Oh, I thought it was cool as hell. Centrifuge said, gotta get going, just got called by the boss, wife, totally get it. Tomorrow for the writing aspect, correct? Yep, we'll be on at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, or 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll have some great guests on then. We'll have Nick B from, what's it called? I don't remember the name of his page.
I just messaged him earlier.
I literally was just messaging him. My memory is horrible. I promise I'm not forgetting people. I'm just bad at this.
Our brains are both made of pudding right now, folks. You gotta cut us a little slack.
It's Hidden Gems. Yeah, I'll post it. I'll post a link to his Twitter, and another bad side quest. Darren from another bad side quest. Let me pull that up real quick as well. Want to make sure I'm crediting our guests as much as possible. Both very cool, very kind dudes. I'm looking forward to working with them tomorrow.
I mean, every guest we've had so far has been pure delight, and I'm so glad we had.
Yeah, no, I sort of going into the show, I was just like, okay, well, it's sort of what you expect. A lot of us have worked retail, so it's just like, okay, we're gonna have some people that aren't as good as the others, but that has not been true at all. We've had nothing but great guests, so I'm happy for that. So yeah, we did Vicarious and Syncopation. We had this really long conversation about dust musicians. That's really cool. All I want to do is just play a guy with the bagpipe that just shoots dust into the air. That's all I want. We also came up with a cool idea for like a short story, flash fic, whatever you want to call it. Songs in the Dust. I thought that was a cool name.
That's where that was from. Yeah, that's super cool.
And these dust musicians are sort of, I'd say they're akin to troubadours. I was trying to think of that word last session, but I could not. So there's that.
There you go. Yeah, no, that's definitely the word. That's a good word too. That's a $5 word right there.
It is a $5 word. First time I heard that word was sympathy for the devil. Anyway, crystalline was our next word. We didn't really do vicarious.
Vicarious, I think, was something we just sort of put in there with, like, dust sensitive people, natural gifted musicians. I think we mentioned offhand that they might have enhanced empathy, and so as a result, like, some of them might experience this, like, they might experience things, quote unquote, vicariously through the dust. Hence why they're good musicians in part, because that's an easy medium for them to communicate through.
That's definitely a good tie-in,
Yeah.
But crystalline was one that we spent quite a bit of time on.
Yeah.
We had this really nifty idea for like, imagine if you will, the cities of old are caked with these sort of crystalline dust. So it's sort of like, trying to think of what would be a good example of that. Like, if you've ever seen a naturally occurring vein of quartz, sort of like kind of splayed over rock, I'd imagine that's kind of what these stone structures would look like. They're kind of caked in crystalline formations, which some could be worse than others. Some might not even have the crystalline formations at all. It might just have a constant dust storm blowing throughout the city. It just depends how old it is and what the environment's
like. Or even like other forms entirely. It's basically any time where wherever dust has high concentrations, the materials become effectively dust alloy in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And that can include life too, like flower petals, leaves from a tree, beaks or feathers. Like from basically birds. Anything that comes near, yeah.
And that kind of stuff could be used by different organizations as a form of like a resource of trade. Like a form of money. But we did sort of say that there's going to be a lot of places in the world that don't do currency-based transactions. They're probably still sticking to the barter system because there's not necessarily anything to back currencies at this time, and that concept is sort of flawed because there isn't a thing like gold or silver as a standard. Maybe there could be a dust standard in some places. That could be an interesting thing. That Tethastris city that I wrote a short story for, I think that they would have a dust standard because they have so much of the stuff that they probably just sort of use it as a form of currency. So if you went there and got like a giant vial of dust, it might be worth a house back where you're from, but that's probably just a couple of loaves of bread. So, dust economy.
Sense, like,
I like dust economy.
Because of the state of the world, economies are localized, and that's why barter trade is so pivotal in those early proto-civilizations. Like what's going to happen when someone walks in with an American dollar, puts it on the table, and you're like, cool, that...
no value, it's just paper.
Yeah, exactly. What are you selling it as? Oh, it's a fire starter, is what it is.
It's Tinder.
Yeah, exactly.
But not
that was
app.
Actually a thing that happened in Germany, I believe, during World War II, and in a couple other places as well, with like massive inflation, where like eventually the money gets so useless, people just use it as a fire starter because it's more valuable in that capacity.
Yeah, post World War I Germany, they had this. The German mark was worth so little that in the literal sense, had to get a wheelbarrow full of marks, German marks, to actually just buy a single loaf of bread. That's how bad the economy was. And after that, uh, we sort of decided on the idea of after we defeat a country in a war, maybe we should occupy them to make sure that they don't go tits up.
Or at very
So
least do like the. I think that the one instance I can really think of in modern history where we haven't utterly annihilated a culture, ironically, is Japan. The one where we probably tried the hardest because afterward, the Japan had the economic miracle, which in part was sort of helped along by the U.S. and European powers, which in no small
yeah,
part I think was because we felt really guilty for fucking nuking them, and
well, we leveled
rightfully
two
so,
of
by
their
the way.
cities. Yeah, no,
Yeah, but it definitely is that same sort of energy, I think.
yeah,
And
no, I think so too. I mean, and it's funny because Elise and I were having a conversation about this. She's like, "Would you?" We were talking about it. She's like, "Would you consider the occupation of Japan by the United States after World War II? Would you consider that colonization?" I said no because we did nothing to sort of exploit the Japanese people. We did some things to exploit the Japanese people. And that's
yeah,
suffice to say, we literally nuked two of their cities into oblivion and
uh,
scared the hell out of them. We had the Emperor Hirohito himself. We had him go on radio and admit to his people that he wasn't the living god that everybody thought that he was. So yeah, we did some harmful things, but we didn't do the colonization thing like Britain did, where they went to Rwanda and said, "You're the Hutus, you're the Tutsis, you're better than these guys," and cause a bunch of conflict and then leave. Um, we
yeah. I
we brought after the horrible crap we did to Japan, we did bring them a good economic thing to stand upon. We also moved them away from imperialism and moved them towards I believe it was a um I'm trying to think of the word for it.
parliamentary is I they
Parliamentary democracy. Yes, thank you.
yeah, because they have the Diet, the national Diet, which is
Yeah,
basically, in fact, actually, I think they're. I'm not even sure if they really are a true parliamentary democracy or if they're more like a republic like us. It's
well,
been a
that's what
while.
we got them started as, and
Yeah,
when we left in 1950 ish, 1952 to 1955, somewhere in that time bracket is when we left Japan. But yeah, no, I would not say that's colonization. I think colonization is better characterized by literally just exploiting the people to literal death and slavery and stuff like that. We didn't enslave Japanese people or anything like that in the way that
definitely.
Spain went to South America and just destroyed entire cultures. You know what I
My
mean? Like,
last name is Castro. I have a complicated history. I have a complicated, you know, appreciation for history.
yeah, no,
Um,
you have pieces in this game, like you.
I do, and they're all largely mild, distant, ancestral self-loathing. I have to get over. Um,
I mean,
it's a
and
difficult conversation
yeah,
because, like, the idea behind colonization it is a difficult topic. No small part of it being that it can be totally accidental. It can be completely benign, or at least intentional benign, and it can cause damage accidentally. The annihilation of Native Americans or the native peoples of the United States was largely towards like the end of it done altruistically as an attempt to tame the savage, which to us is wow, that's so messed up. But to them back then, they were like, it's a mercy mission. We're trying to help them out of their culture and into ours. And and I think there's something to say that I think what Japan did was Japan, if I'm going to be real, it probably is more like that it colonized itself because Japan in the aftermath of World War II suffered such a political and social collapse that they kind of latched onto the Western world as a benchmark for a lot of their structures in the same way that also Hong Kong did as well, in no small part because Britain literally turned it into mini Asian Britain, basically
yeah,
off the coast of Asia. And so as a result, a lot of Americanized, westernized culture flooded into there, leapt over the entirety of Asia and the Middle East, and plopped itself in this weird little radiating point in Japan and Hong Kong. And that's why South Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, all that we might not know all their culture, but they sure as hell know ours.
Right.
And yeah, so long story short, it's an interesting conversation and definitely a difficult one, which is also part of the fun of a setting like this. Is you can always look at your world through the lens of a setting like this and have fun little side stories.
Oh,
It's totally
absolutely.
doable.
And the another thing about before we get back on topic, Japan itself was a colonizer. You know, they would what they did is they sort of went to the Southeast Asian Pacific, and they also went to China and just sort of destroyed cultures, destroyed a lot of things and stuff like that. So Japan isn't like victimless in this, you know, or they're
World War II was a lot of people doing a lot of stupid things, and you're gonna find pretty much every single person involved did something pretty terrible. Some are very obvious and don't need pointing out, and others history can do with a second pass at. If only to make sure we understand that war sucks and that the best thing we can hope for is to endure it and maybe not like put on a pedestal people who might have committed war crimes even by accident. Um and the
right.
writer's block glasses, I love that
Where'd
so
you
much.
where'd you get that?
You can so here's a fun thing. As an affiliate, you'll now know this. When people spend your channel points at the bottom, they can modify a single emote, and that
What?
includes putting sunglasses on your emotes, which is awesome. And one of the things that I love when folks do to my emotes. So
That's amazing.
yeah, I will help you set up channel points at some point soon. Now that you're an affiliate, you're gonna have fun with those. So,
That's amazing. I like the
uh,
sunglasses. Um, we were so yeah, we got talked about Crystal and got a little bit off topic, but uh uh oh yeah, my buddy told me, or my friends of mine I was playing Magic with the other night. They brought up the point. They're like, yeah, you wonder why Japan didn't get as bad a treatment as like say Germany did, after World War II. It's because Japan did some horrible torturous things and experiments on their prisoners, same the way the Germans did it, and to sort of like alleviate things, we said, "Hey Japan, give us your data on these things that you've done, and we'll sort of like lighten the blow for you." And they're like,
oh
"Oh,
God,
okay."
yeah.
So
The fruit of the poison tree. Yeah, that's the thing that's still to this day.
and
And I think that's actually a medical principle that had to be written in was like, we have to make exception for using things, even if they come from an unethical source, for the betterment of humankind.
yeah, and my buddy told me, he's like, "How do you think we know the percentage of water in a human body?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, I did not know that's where that came from, but it is."
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
World War II
Oh,
be dark, folks. Summary: World War II was dark. Who knew?
wow. Yeah, there's a reason we haven't had another mass conflict like that, just because we know that we shouldn't do it again.
Yeah, we quite thoroughly traumatized ourselves from that experience.
We draw the line at war crimes.
Yes. This channel does not endorse war crimes. The coldest take on Earth.
I want to get a T-shirt that says that. So
This person does not endorse war crimes.
that'd be great. That'd be a great T-shirt.
War crimes are my least favorite place in the Citadel.
War crime icky.
We also talked about, I think, besides the guilds and the crystalline dust, which was a thing, we also started talking about weather.
We were talking about weather during our break for like 20 minutes.
Oh my god, yeah. Which, by the way, is the reason it took so long for us to get back on. We literally started bandying ideas back and forth loosely, and then it got, like, pretty good, and we were like, why aren't we doing this on stream?
Yeah, just like, why don't we just add weather to the prompter? Like, screw it. So we were talking about all this different kind of lightning. Was it you the one that brought up gamma lightning about how the ozone layer, like the that stuff usually stays in like the higher parts of the atmosphere? Yeah.
If you ever see photos of, often you'll see like these close-up photos from meteorology satellites and occasionally the space shuttle when it went up. And now I guess Elon Musk's whatever the hell he calls his rich person's equivalent. You'll see footage of the upper atmosphere and where the clouds go. Occasionally you'll see lightning down on the ground, heading towards the ground, the usual stuff. But on the other side, you'll see like a vibrant fuchsia magenta lightning on the top. And that's gamma lightning, where the lightning is so intense it generates small bursts of gamma radiation. and how depending on conditions on the planet that might come down here. And if it does, we're all sorts of screwed. And we immediately thought, wow, wouldn't that be cool if AS had some gamma lightning? And why not, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it sort of fits in with the setting, honestly. And the way you described gamma lightning was just terrifying because it just sort of like blows up everything in like a quarter of a mile radius. It's not like a single strike the way lightning works, where it sort of
It's
like strikes a smaller radius. It's like that giant, it's like
it's
a
a blast
giant
wave.
burst. Yeah.
Because I mean, gamma radiation in that level of concentration, like beyond a couple hundred feet, in reality, it's probably not going to be that bad.
Yeah.
But like within that radius, the gamma radiation can be so intense it'll cause water to instantly not sublimate, but like vaporize, and cause things to just spontaneously combust, which is wow. So yeah, no, gamma lightning. If you ever wondered how useful a bunker was, don't let gamma lightning strike near it because it ain't gonna do crap. Gotta love that. And yeah, we tried to think of a bunch of other things too. I think we talked about the idea of like storms swallowing like encampments or towns,
Yeah.
which was a cool idea.
Yeah, and we were talking about these literal storm chasers, the people that literally try to harness this energy that comes from this lightning and the dust and stuff like that. Let's see here. I mean, we came up with a thing called storm pirates. People that do that for more hostile reasons to sort of they're like, okay, we're gonna capture the power of a nuke and we're gonna put it in a jar. I'm putting this in the light terms. They probably put it in some sort of like giant battery or something like that. Which, well, I was about to go on a nerd tangent about Egyptian batteries. But anyway, so I'll come back to that. But they sort of like capture it, and they like go into towns, and they're just like, hey, we're gonna extort the hell out of you. Give us your stuff, and we won't blow you up. Easy peasy, right? Like,
Exactly. It's perfect. You're holding a gun to the head of an entire community, and just like, hey, I've got like, I don't know, however much power inside of a clay jar. If you kill me, I'll drop it. It'll break, and everyone dies.
oops! It's like that scene from SpongeBob where they accidentally drop the pie and it like blows up the Krusty Krab.
I remember that. So
The Krusty Krab
I
explosion of 1993.
oh god.
I hate that meme, but I love it at the same time. Ow.
The Squidward ow is so good.
SpongeBob. Don't know what you're gonna name them yet. I actually kind of like red points. It's weird though. Jab said,
"Yo, it works. I think it's good."
Jab's like, I'm gonna start collecting red points. Oh lord. But we're also talking about a strange astral phenomenon that sort of warns of a coming storm. So there'd be like people like shamans, however you want to pronounce it, and astronomers and astrologists and stuff like that. And even probably some tethered be able to sort of tell that those things are coming. So it would make almanacs very, very important to most societies. And we sort of decided that there's a lot of these pockets around the place, and I think that these sort of like dust storm pockets that people live inside, they live in there for mainly protection. But you can also, if you can imagine having a tethered or some sort of shaman be able to harness that power of that gamma lightning and sort of just power everything, yeah, you have protection and you have like infinite power. Unlimited power!
Unlimited power! I love, God, say what you will about the prequel trilogy, but man, Emperor Palpatine throughout the whole, through the whole thing, I'm just gonna put it out there. Emperor Palpatine through all of Star Wars, mwah, absolute delight. Every time he's on screen makes me happy. For no reason besides watching that actor chew the scenery is just a delight.
No, he's such a great actor. God.
He's lovely. I loved watching like the episode 3 like behind the scenes things where he was hanging out with all the other folks holding his lightsaber. And he's like, you all think I'm going to be sword fighting with this, but I'm like 75 years old, so that's not happening. But I'm gonna look cool doing it. And he's just the coolest dude. But yeah, like, and it makes sense. Like, it's actually a long-standing idea of like what are your best methods of defense: isolation, walls.
No breathing.
And like either one of those two is basically why every single fortress on planet Earth either overlooks a major location from an inaccessible point or has great walls by a major pivotal location like a waterway or a road. And the storm combines both. It's an inhospitable, inaccessible location, and also effectively a strategic weapon if it could be wielded. Which, yeah, you get a powerful enough tethered or a choir of dust users with dust nulls. I could see them, going like, "Did you come here for anything important? No.
Yes.
Screw them up. Like, throw the storm at them." I could definitely see that being a thing.
You just throw lightning at them.
Just close it on them. We'll go back out and we'll clean it up later.
But I just really like that idea of just these like these Tatooine-esque sort of like almost like Adobe homes where these people sort of just live underground, and they have this on surface level of constant protection. They don't have to worry about anything coming at them, monsters, people. But like, of course, every now and then there will be a threat that somehow manages to get its way through there. But that's the ominous thing. You don't know when it's gonna come.
Weird void creature that can live in the storm or survive through it, but like not the normal things they would expect to deal with.
Oh man, that's creepy. We're actually at the hour 17-minute mark. So what we're gonna do, folks, is we're going to take a little break, and I will run ads. Sorry, but not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. So I'll be putting a poll up for you guys. Let's see here. Figuring this stuff out as I go. I'm new to this. So let's see. We're gonna cover words that we didn't get to. So I'm gonna put in I'm gonna spell color the right way because I'm not British. Let's see. Destin. Promise I'm not making fun of British people. I like British people. I am Irish though. So let's see.
I have a great deal of British watchers and viewers, and they are usually the first to make fun of themselves. So you're good.
I like Reddies. All
Reddies
right,
is nice,
all right, folks, get your Reddies together. It's so dumb. I like it though.
I love the image of just a dollar bill with your face on it. That's just printed on red construction paper.
Let me. It's terrifying. I'm gonna start the poll. No, just like me in a profile view, like it's all red.
Cheesiest screen possible, man.
What words do cover? Wow, I spelled that correctly. That was great. Let's.
Good enough. We all got it.
Can
what
I edit
words
this?
do you want us to cover? If
What...
you're all watching, get that.
What word do cover? Can I take this down?
All I can do.
Let me delete the poll. No, don't report it.
There we go. The punctuation was so bad, I had to report it. Oh god.
Okay, what words do we cover? How's that? Put in toxic, color. Oop. Damn it. Color. Erase. Clandestine. Did we get around to oil? I don't know if it's a word we did.
I don't think we did.
We'll put oil down. Screw it.
Yeah.
Okay. Poll live. Redemptions. You can redeem the Reddies.
Oh, I like that, yeah.
Okay.
So get in there, click the ones you want to vote for, you want to see, be the change you want in the stream, and do the thing.
Why are you my co-host again? Kidding. On that harsh note, we are going to be right back. Be about 5 minutes, so stick around, folks.
See you in a bit.
Yep, see you in a bit. Hello, folks. We are back from our short little intermission. Uh, I say that, but I left my frickin' water on the fridge. Uh, so the results of the polls were 3 votes for oil and 1 vote for toxic. I can tell a lot of us live here in the United States. Uh, I won't say why. Uh, but thank you for voting, folks. I appreciate you. So I will go grab my liquid real quick, and we can get at our prompts. Do I have that sound effect ready? Of course I do. Why wouldn't I have it ready?
I will just stand here and entertain y'all. This is entertaining, I suppose. I guess.
That's you. That's your job. Dance. Dance for their amusement.
Just I draw the line at twerking. We're not doing that tonight.
We're not, this isn't that kind of stream.
This isn't a hot tub stream.
Okay, grabbing water.
Yeah. So, man, there is a lot to go with on that. Honestly, it's a big topic right there. So, question for all of you all, just for the sake of asking, personally, out there in the chat, is there anything out there you guys are excited about specifically for the setting we're making that you've enjoyed encountering so far? Drop it in the comments, because I'm curious, even if it's just for fun. I just want to see what you all have liked so far, because we're doing a lot. That's tonight or just generally speaking.
Absolutely. And folks, if you want an easier way to comment post-mortem of the stream, we actually have a YouTube channel up now, and I will post a link to that in the chat. What? I can't read. What does that say? Yeet the Jesus?
Yeet the Jesus, yes.
That's a link to the YouTube channel. So if you guys want to leave comments on literally anything that Omni and I do on this channel, all the VODs are over there too. So if they expire on Twitch, you can watch them on YouTube. Highly recommend just turning audio on. For the past few episodes had a little bit of errors. Not sure why. I'm trying to figure that out myself, but regardless, yeah, so if you guys ever want to leave comments or feedback or anything like that, be sure to do that on YouTube or message me or Omni on Twitter. I mean, we're both. The hot tub comment yeeted my mind to a meme speedrun a Hollow Knight streamer did. They did a run to get all the hot springs while they themselves were in a hot tub / inflatable pool. I think it was called Hot Tub Any %.
That's probably the only time I will endorse a hot tub stream.
Yeah, well, it's on theme, so that's
exactly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's Hollow Knight. That's already wholesome AF for the most part. By design, practically. Yeah, I mean, undead monsters, bugs. Anyway,
so our first word, it seems, is oil.
Yeah, add that on there. Oh boy.
That's
we can do so much with that.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah, I mean, like, I realize what I just said. You can do so much with that, said the U.S. like every single day since they discovered oil.
I like oil. Me too, Jabs. I love oil. It's my favorite resource.
It's delicious, and it makes the economy go burr.
But olive oil, that's a good oil.
Yeah, olive oil is great. Vegetable oil is pretty good for frying too. But pan-searing at least.
Void oil.
Yeah,
voil.
So, voil. Hey guys, came back with a jar of voil. Oh, cool. What's it look like? Don't open it. And then the color outside space deletes your town and everyone around it.
Excellent.
That is actually an idea. So, the idea of oil. My immediate thought is less oil as an actual real thing because, do we really need to talk more about how a slightly flammable liquid might actually be practically useful? I think history's done that.
The only thing I could think of that I keep drawing parallels to, well, I don't keep drawing parallels to. I've made a few parallels to it. Dishonored using whale oil. That's like the thing I think of for like a resource. Excuse
We
me.
could definitely sort of slap it in that same category as like the crystalline, where like this is a various form of refining dust,
Yeah.
um, which works. This is,
So
after all, like a universe where the old standards don't work anymore, so new standards probably had to be found for a lot of these bigger city states.
what if there aren't fossil fuels? Just because they can't get their hands on something that's in the ground without something like an auger or fracking and stuff like that.
Like, I think there might be like it'd be very limited. It'd be like in the, like we were able to find coals, and like you can make charcoal without much effort. That
Well,
just
yeah.
takes a tree on fire long enough, and
By
you're done.
fossil fuels, I mean stuff more like crude oil,
Right,
not less like coal. Coal's something that's easily accessible. I mean, hell, we could literally
right.
go out and get iron right now if we wanted to. Like,
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's fair. Like, I definitely think we should say that a lot of, especially the methods of refinement we're used to, you're not going to find much oil, and if you do, it's a very rare regional resource. You would literally need bubbling crude if you wanted access to oil of the old kind, where it's like, I mean, like that's literally, you know, the,
Derek just said peat. I'm Irish. I should definitely know about peat bogs and peat bricks being used to like keep homes hot. You know,
yeah,
during colder parts of the year. Peat
yeah.
is
I mean,
definitely
fair.
something that's used, but we are talking about oil in particular here, so we're digress or we're getting a little too far away from the actual topic. So let's digress back. What does oil look like, if it even exists, like in the sense of crude oil, or is it something as simple as like another way I think of oil is like demon ichor, that kind of stuff. You know, like
I always think of oil as this is the Magic the Gathering player in me, but the image of oil as a source of infection, or oil as like a like if you can tell when there's oil in water just by the look of it, there's something off of it immediately, and it looks wrong, in a fundamental way, and perhaps it could be a literal infection, if it's processed or a version of processed dust. It could simply be highly aggressive or volatile in the same way that all dust must be to a degree. And it just happens that this is maybe it's corrosive or highly toxic, to tag our other word. But I like the idea of it being something that has to be used. I like the whale oil comparison. I think the trick should be it shouldn't be oil like we think of. It's oil that comes from another source. I like the idea of it being mined from the void, much like the crystals.
yeah.
It's just a different way of getting it.
Tying it back to the whale thing, Bon actually asked a question earlier in chat. Said, "What animals are commonly traded as a source of food? Are there any that are considered sacred or untouchable by certain groups?" Well, I just had a sickening idea.
Oh
What
no,
if they sort of milk animals like we milk cows for a crude resource that they can use to burn?
I could see that.
That's sickening.
I mean, like that's given me like strong over the garden wall vibes of like
Boomalopes?
yeah,
Elaborate. What is a
I love
boomalope?
that. It's an antelope that you milk for boom juice.
Boom juice.
I guess.
I sure do love boom juice. Rimworld?
Rimworld. I need to play Rimworld so bad.
I do too. I feel like it's one of those games. If I get into it, though, I won't stop playing it for like literal days. So I.
I will say the song the one of the songs is perpetually stuck in my head forever, because I think it's I used to be the sun when it was, yeah, it was I was the sun before I was cool. Like one of those things that sticks in my head forever.
Antelope
So
with gasoline organically grown inside its body.
that's cool. Edelwood trees. Thank you, Neris. I could never remember the
Edelwood
name.
trees?
That's from Over the Garden Wall, where there's a guy. I'm not going to spoil it, Over the Garden Wall for people. Everyone out there should watch Over the Garden Wall. Just trust me. Look that up. Next time you're in the mood for a Halloween style series or like show, Over the Garden Wall, you'll be mystified. But in it, there is a character who collects branches from the Edelwood trees in the forest where these kids are lost in, and he brings them to the grist mill, puts them in the mill, and refines it into oil, which he uses to keep a lantern lit. For plot reasons I won't go into, but it's highly implied that the Edelwood is that something is off about it, and therefore something's off about the oil. The lantern must have a special property. Yeah,
Oh,
Over the
that's
Garden Wall is so good.
see, that's something I tried to watch when I was younger because that came out. When did that come out?
Don't date me. Don't date me. Don't. You're gonna carbon date me, and I'm gonna feel like I should be in the
I'm
Smithsonian.
I'm gonna look this up now. I'm gonna make you and everybody else in this chat feel old.
Yeah,
Over
it's fine. Over the Garden Wall. Yeah, American Mini too. Yeah,
2014. Yeah, I was let's see, 2014. I was 13, I think, when that came out.
too bad. That's fine.
So yeah, it's not
Yeah.
too bad. But see, I was looking up Over and I saw Over the Hedge, and I'm like, oh god, please.
It's not. Thank God, it's not Over the Hedge. I would never recommend that to anybody. Yeah, it was only 5 years ago.
That movie's fun if you're a kid. If not, if you're not, it's just stupid.
Yeah, and there's better stuff you can watch if you're a kid too. Like just because
Only
ju-
5
just
years ago? No,
a little bit longer. Yeah, no, it's
almost what 8? I can't do math.
yeah,
said
it's 8. It's 5 plus
2014.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you're
well,
21 now, so.
I'm 20, just straight up
Oh,
20.
you're even worse. Yeah, so then yeah,
I'm a youngin.
yeah, because it's 7 plus 1. So
So
yeah,
I probably would have been about 12, 13 when it came out. Yeah, I tried to watch it, but I was just like, this is when I was a stupid kid. I was like, this is too avant-garde for me.
if you watch it again now, it's gonna be, especially if you're into world building, like
Well,
it
yeah.
is a master class in world building without world building, and I love it.
So you mean soft world building, just like implied things. Nothing's ever like hard. Nothing's ever stated. It's just like
Exactly.
you see it.
The whole series, the whole miniseries, has a very dreamlike quality to it, and it's it's one of those few shows that I'm like, haha, it's kind of cute, but also every episode makes me like internally cringe out of discomfort because they really nail the discomfort factor in that show. It's so good. It feels like a Halloween show. But generally, I like the idea of that. And we can almost go on to that. Since we've talked about the idea that the crystals might be potentially volatile and therefore highly useful in some capacity, what if the idea behind this oil is that it burns slower, and its properties are vaguely dust-like? So maybe it would be a great way to drive off void creatures. Like you light a lantern of this stuff and you take it towards the void, and the creatures of the void feel inherently repelled by it. Just a ballpark idea, like at least a thought anyway that could potentially be used somewhere by someone in that way. Also that is probably just channeling Over the Garden Wall to it.
I also feel like since dust does so much shit, I feel like something should be equivalent to dust, but it has somewhat less power. It's just easier to get your hands on. It's like the difference between a hard drive and or an HDD and an SSD. They do the same thing, but one does it significantly better without the complications of like with dust, you don't have to burn it, you don't have to refine it, you don't have to do any of that. You can literally just use it out of the box. But like with this oil resource, you have to refine oil because crude, I mean, it could be whatever the hell we want it to be, but it would make sense if it was crude, quote unquote, because I don't know if you knew this, I don't know if any of you guys knew this, crude oil is not flammable. Like oil out of the ground is not flammable. With the things through the refinement process where we make it fuel, that's where it sort of becomes flammable. So there'd have to be a refinement process, I think, in the same way that we pasteurize milk.
Oh, absolutely.
So what
that could work, yeah.
What do we name these creatures? Can you eat them?
I mean, like, I figure you could.
I mean, like, are they just oil cows?
I mean, like, I suppose it would vary. It could, the possibility that occurs to me now, if it's wildlife with anomalous properties, it could actually be the beginnings of like, and again, this could be just a regionalized thing, but because I think this resource would be regionalized as well, like all resources are in this setting. Like no one has ready access to any one thing. but maybe the idea behind it is that it's it's the idea that a creature of the void might have been taken, captured, and replicated, not like cloned, but like literally domesticated for this purpose.
Yeah,
And that
since
could be an entire settlement's claim to fame. We captured a creature of the void. We basically turned it into a herd animal that we use to create this highly valuable oil.
that's creepy and weird, and I like it. It also sort of plays into our theme of having a society sort of restarting.
Yeah,
Oil kells?
could call them oil kells. I love that. I love that a lot.
I like oil kells. We'll come back to a name. We'll workshop it a little bit, but I
Yeah,
like the idea of this void creature, which we could probably call them different groups of people probably call them different things.
right. I
Being like
suspect this is
domesticated.
kind of in that same vein of everyone. Again, everyone's kind of figuring out the whole society thing simultaneously, and some are better at it than others, or it comes easier to others. But everyone is basically finding their own answers, and where one society might depend on a more pure, rarefied, crystalline version of dust, someone else might just rely on this oil style dust, this oil substance. Um,
It also got me thinking. So when things, uh, particularly mammals, decompose, we have a buildup of gas, methane gas inside of us from just like decomposition.
oh
There,
yes,
there's a phenomena that phenomena occurs on a very large scale with whales. Um, so I had this weird and sort of sickening idea to these people that get power by like hooking up a hose to a decomposing beached whale that they forced to be beached, and they use that methane gas to power things. But
I
they only have it for like a limited amount of time, so they have to like use it sparingly, you know, or they
it
have
could
to
be like a
kill whales
literal
constantly.
right, and it could be a rare resource too for them, just because it might be dependent on luck. Because again, like the void is literally anywhere on this planet where you can't go, and things get weird without human involvement very quickly. So, like, I imagine being out deep sea fishing is basically the Here Be Dragons thing, only for real. So, every horrifying claymation thing you've ever seen erupting out of the water in 1950s film is probably out there getting ready to dunk on you. And it probably has kids. And you look really tasty. So, the idea of like a society that might occasionally be like, guys, a beached whale emerged, and the whole society's like, oh, everyone get the hoses. We got to do this while we still can. As just like a rare resource, and you know that's the other thing too. A lot of people talk about strategic resources as things that can be replicated often, but strategic resource also. It's important to mention that that applies to modern nation states.
Right.
Older nation states or like primitive nation states like this, where some of them don't even have populations in the hundreds, like a beached whale is a critical resource in this instance. They could easily be like, this is rare as hell. This is valuable to other people and to us. And one beached whale that happens only occasionally might be enough to tide them over, or it might be enough to keep a smaller, less privileged group of survivors in one location just for the potential of it.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting thought. I like the idea of a see, like I said, Dishonored does something very similar to that, where they harvest like whale oil, but like whale oil is like heavily refined through this really weird process to the point it glows, which doesn't make sense, but it's like a medium fantasy world, so it sort of makes sense.
Right.
The
The
world
whale
building in Dishonored
and the whales all
just
look like the medieval depictions of whales, like Herman Melville's Moby Dick. This is the white whale, which is barely a whale at all. They are. If you ever see the pictures from Dishonored about the whales, they are like
they're
they are legitimate
really
Leviathan monsters. They
yeah.
are not the whales we're used to.
What do
Um,
whales look like? Crab? Why is your welcome back? What crab? What
but cancerization is everywhere. Everything is eventually crab.
crab?
That's
Question mark. I want to put that on a. I would wear that on a t-shirt. Just crab question mark. People would give you such weird looks, but it's funny, so it's okay.
I
Um,
love that. Yeah.
what do whales look like? Whales have teeth and multiple fins. Oof. Ugh. Well, see, the thing is with that is, mammals and a lot of creatures, including birds, we've sort of like, not we obviously still have teeth, but those animals in particular have like evolved to not have teeth anymore. So it would be interesting if they sort of
Minimize
like,
the teeth anyway.
yeah, and they it'd be interesting if whales sort of like grew teeth back because there are other creatures their size in the depths again, so they don't need to. So they actually need to defend themselves, and they can actually eat things their size rather than filter feeding the way that they do, which is really
Right.
bizarre. I don't know if you've ever seen a whale's like open mouth the way that a lot of whales filter feed, but
Oh yeah, where they have the both the baleen and the way their neck sort of stretches and lets water through the channels in their throat.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
really bizarre. It's like they're a machine in their own right. Like they're
Mhm.
it's very strange. They literally have like filters. Like it's weird. Filter feeding is just bizarre to me. It's so like
It,
alien.
it's such a strange concept, yeah, but it's fun. I actually play with that with not to name drop it, but the Origami and Legacy are filter feeders, and I just love the idea of like everyone else sitting down to dinner with like steak or vegetables or something, and then the Origami walks in like, "Hey guys," and just like puts a canister of water with floating bits in it on the table. Like, the hell is that? And he's like, "Oh, it's dinner." And just sucks it all down in one go,
That's
and then
so weird.
farts out the water from his lower gills like, "That was good algae. Thanks."
Okay.
Meanwhile, the click roll in, and they just sort of sit in the dirt, and they're like, "What are you all doing, you idiots?" Because they're basically slug people in a way. Um,
Neris
but
said,
yeah,
whales have teeth and multiple fins. I love Dishonored. I keep coming back to it, though it hits different now in pandemic times. Yeah, the first game, literally an actual pandemic going on. Oof. Still kind of
it's a
happening,
good
though.
series. I need to play that again. It was really
I
fun.
need to finish too. Neris said I was
Never
referring to
played two.
Dishonored's whales, kind of zoned out for a bit.
Yeah, no,
Dishonored's
you.
whales have teeth?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. The whales in Dishonored are not. They're not normal whales.
Oh,
Like
I
the
know they're
whales,
not like normal looking whales. I'm just wondering.
they have
Oh, what the
huge
hell?
teeth and like sets of like
Oh.
fins, and like they literally look like the medieval depictions of whales, where like the sailor would only get what, quarter of a second to look at the thing that has snapped the boat in half because some idiot threw a harpoon at something under the water and didn't realize it was roughly the same tonnage as the boat you were riding on.
That so
So yeah, you're gonna make it into a monster.
folks on
And
stream, I have an image pulled up for you so you can see what they're talking about. That is
uh,
horrifying. Oh
they
man,
are awesome, right?
they're so cool looking though.
Like everything in Dishonored is just a little bit off, and I love that kind of art style.
I do too.
Um,
I like things that are a little off, you know, especially because like the way that the artists, particularly at Arcane, like did this is it looks off, but it
recognizable.
looks
It's just
feasible too. Like it almost looks
yeah.
feasible. It's weird that an
It,
animal like that would evolve to have a mouth on like the bottom side of
right.
its head, but yeah, that's
I
weird.
think, as I recall, like part of the reason they developed themselves like that is because it makes them useful for ramming. So they're kind of like a spear version of a hammerhead, where the hammerhead's head is really more of a sensory array, but this thing is basically just a giant torpedo that slams into whatever other big stuff is out there. And after having broken it in half, then they just kind of let it fall in their mouth. Which it works in real life too. That's basically the strategy of about every shark is I swim into you really freaking hard. I open my mouth, and whatever happens, happens, but it's usually really bad for whatever hits my mouth.
Killer whales do that too. They literally just like ram into like seals and stuff like that and like stun them. Their strategy is to like turn it over on its belly
I mean, when you
so it
have the
sinks.
tonnage of a small semi, and you can move it like 30, 40 miles an hour underwater, and yeah, no, speed kills. If you're that much bigger than everything else,
killer whales use their flippers. I saw this really horrifying thing in a documentary where they as high as 40 feet in the air. What?
Yeah.
That's
I
terrifying.
mean, it's like a person grabbing a grasshopper and throwing it as hard as they can. Like, you can actually throw it so hard. Not that I advise doing that to grasshoppers. Please don't abuse animals. Thank you very much. This is my disclaimer. But you can throw that shit so hard you don't see where it lands or goes. And I'm absolutely convinced that if a killer whale wanted to, yeah, no, if it weren't for the fact that they're in the ocean, they could totally bop a seal so hard that they lose track of it. Which is horrifying.
That is
by the way.
horrifying. Jesus.
To be so good at killing the thing you hunt, you might actually overkill it out of your line of sight. Wow. This actually does bring up a thing, though. What if we vague out the term whale? Like, we have the idea of, like, because it was mentioned, what do these whales look like?
Right.
What if the term whale is broad? It is just a term they use to describe whatever terrifying thing washes up on the beach.
So whale is like a. I mean, I think whale is a broader term too, like in the sense that they called like anything that was like a giant fish, like a leviathan or a serpent.
Exactly. Like, for them, the idea of a whale would just be like, well, it washed up on the shore. It's gonna rot and turn into gas. We can siphon that off. Whatever it is. The oceans on Aeus are probably filled with all sorts of crazy nonsense out there, and how much of it's even recognizable as what it once was at this point. Depends on how close to the dust it might have gotten at some point. So,
Derek, whale, it washed up on shore.
yeah.
That's
Definition of whale, it ended up on the shore.
No, it's just like I just I read that. I imagine like
Whale,
Ronald.
it washed up on the
Yeah, I imagine like Ronald Reagan going like whale, whale, it washed up on shore. Oarfish might be one such fish that were dubbed serpents. They're pretty fucked looking too. I need to. Okay, well, let's look up oarfish. We're discovering. Oarfish sound like
I'm also
orifice.
going to throw out the term Dunkleistus as well.
What the hell is this? This thing's ugly as sin. What in the hell is that? Is that a flatfish? Does it have two eyes on the same side of its head, or am I? No, it's a.
No, the oarfish is just a big boy. He's basically a baseball bat as a fish.
That is the ugliest looking thing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Let's see if I can find.
There are so many ugly animals on this planet. Good to know humans are just one of them.
Oh yeah, no, we are definitively not even beginning to like scratch the surface of crazy things that lived on Earth. I'm gonna dunk this picture into the writer's block image or into the writer's block file. You can delete it afterward, but just like as reference. Bam. That right there is the sort of thing that I always think of. Like, when there be dragons, I think of Dunkleistus, which is like about the scariest fish on planet Earth. I think it actually is the biggest fish we've ever had on our planet. And it's so big that it literally ate sharks, like great white sharks, the megalodon sharks, that we're like, God, if we ever encounter them in our seas, we're going to have to redefine everything about the nature of the food chain. And these things were like, dude, that's a delicious snack for us. That's the starting point.
Kate sent me a. It was a Hecate. Sorry, I'm stupid.
Good.
Sent me a void whale. That is creepy. Boy. It's like this weird cosmic form, but you can see all the bones underneath it. Oh, that's weird. I like that though. That's creepy. That's like the good kind. That's like the best kind of creepy.
Oh yeah. Oh, those things are awesome.
Oh,
I see
love
exactly
them.
what you're talking about. Those things are cool.
About that. Where did you post this at?
It's just inside of the writer's block. Just like the
is it?
standard, the document. I just dunked it in there.
Oh, it's in the document. Okay, I was checking.
Yeah, I just put it in the document directly.
I was checking the Discord. Okay, I'll pull up the doc real quick.
Yeah,
Oh, what the? What is that?
That is a Dunkleistus. It is a prehistoric fish. It existed roughly the same time as, it was around the same time as sharks. And remember the way I mentioned, like, right now the biggest shark we're ever aware of at the moment is the Megalodon. This thing ate megalodons. as like one of its primary prey items. It's so big, its scale is closer to that of like what we would consider a modern whale. It's quite horrifying. Just the imagery of like, this is what you would see if one attacked, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'd be dead. You wouldn't get a second chance. They were supposedly highly aggressive. Highly aggressive, very resilient. The funny thing is, we know that they look like this because their bone structure is so extensive that effectively their whole face is fossilized.
That is
Like they're just raw bone. There you go. That's what a skull looks like. And I think that was a juvenile. Yeah, they're really
what the hell?
right.
Even
like,
its eyes, or do they put in the eyes?
No, its eyes were armored in bone. Its eye
What
socket was
the
armored in
hell?
bone because the whole thing, basically, I always like to drive this home. Prehistoric seas were hyper violent. You had every single creature just about that was predatory in those seas had incredibly sharp dagger-like teeth, in many cases jutting out at multiple angles. So that, like, as an example, plesiosaurs. If you ever see the way that their jaws are actually structured, they don't have like interlocking neat teeth like a lot of modern animals. They look like almost a Venus flytrap, where their teeth arc out on the side of their head.
Ooh.
And that's because it was a really useful defense to be able to just sort of swing your head and slash horizontally as well.
Nara said, looks like they were ramming things with how armored they were. I guarantee that was their form of combat. They just, it all, like,
100%.
they just mash themselves into thing and they never get bit in the head or the neck. That is weird how bony that thing is.
The scariest thing is that because of its jaw structure, we know that its jaw's locked. So this thing would bite into something and clamp down, and you physically cannot remove it without destroying its jaw. And this thing probably had more bones in its face than many animals had bones in their entire body. Like, so, yeah, no, this thing would just, it's power shears. Power shears the fish the size of a bus.
Nara says, I see we're going down a paleontology rabbit hole tonight. Yeah, I mean, it's appropriate. I mean, like, we started talking about whales and stuff like that. We sort of addressed that there's going to be creatures, at least in one place, that harvest things for oil. I like the idea of harvesting sea creatures' methane gas to use as a form of fuel, because, I mean, that's we sort of do that now. Not in that same, like, hardcore, like, dark sense where we literally stick a hose on a dying thing and but
right, but like that's basically what composting is.
Yeah.
It's more or less like composting for methane gas is literally just take dead plant matter or dead animal matter, scraps, whatever, throw it into a big container, let it rot, capture the rot stink, use that methane to do other things.
Yeah.
Like, it's the reason why to this day, and also a big note for you folks out there who are going to be raking leaves at any point, one of the reasons you rake leaves is because if you leave leaves long enough, the lower levels will decompose, and they can potentially trap pockets of methane gas. And that's when you get, like, YouTube videos of a person lighting a pile of leaves and it blowing up like a bomb.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, fun YouTube video. Don't want that on your front lawn, though. Just saying. So, like, rake your leaves, folks. At least if they get particularly big.
I just saw the image of those big-looking monsters with a deep-sea diver. God, that's...
Yeah. So that's an image that stuck with me when I saw that. That's the I'm gonna die image. That's the instance when a tethered goes underwater, just keeping a bubble of air around him and is like, oh, I don't want to be here. Bye.
Soul said Dunkleostrus
is a baller. Yes, that's what it's called, the Dunkleostrus.
Oh, so it's literally named Dunkleostrus, and it's a baller. That's a good. Thank you for the pun. But oh man, you guys ever see that episode of Love, Death, and Robots where those guys get caught out in the desert and like the ocean sort of swimming around them, and it's like the ocean, what the world was.
Such a weird episode, but I loved it.
But the ocean was before. There is a somebody who's I was reading something about oceans and how man, I don't remember now. Damn it. How it's like one of those things where it's just like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square. Uh
Yeah,
all deserts were made from oceans,
pretty much.
but not all oceans are
Deserts. Yeah. Well, it's
war
also
deserts.
because it's specifically like low-lying deserts.
Uh,
Because desertification can happen wherever. As I recall, a desert happens anytime that either A, you get exposed seafloor and it sits there long enough where all you get is sand, or B, where plant matter and plant life retreats from an area for whatever reason, which is where the term desertification comes from. Usually as a result of climate change or heat or famine or whatever.
mhm.
And at that point, when you get to the point where the topsoil of an area dies, like thoroughly dies, all the mycelium's gone, all the stuff in the soil disappears, that's when you get desertification because all the topsoil blows away and you're left with loose dirt, which eventually just becomes sand.
Oh, this thing is
So-
called a Dunkleistus.
Yeah, that's the name. That is
Oh,
the
okay.
scientific name, the Dunkleistus.
These things are
Uh,
ugly
it
as
is-
hell.
one of the coolest creatures in prehistory and also one of the scariest things. And I remember seeing that thing pop in Dinotopia and I was immediately like, I need to know what it's called. I need to know exactly what this thing is.
There's a
I need to know how real it is and how frequently existed in modern time. Thank
They-
God none of that.
they recently discovered not a trilobite, but a sort of like a isopod type creature.
Yeah.
That was the length and size of a car.
Right?
That's horrifying. They said that the thing wandered the earth at one point. This giant, like 8 foot long, 9 foot long thing that's like how what we know like an isopod. You know, they're about that big, right? Like about the size of a loaf of bread. But like,
Horrifying enough, by the way.
yeah, those things are creepy looking. Some people are like,
I
oh, they're
love
cute.
the
I'm like,
fantasy scary, yeah.
people are like, oh, they're cute. I'm like, no, they're not. They're like,
The plushies are cute.
The-
The creature that eats a fish's tongue and then acts like a living prosthetic so that it can eat your freaking tongue and you didn't notice, that's horrifying. Thank you very much.
yeah, those things are disturbing in like the worst way possible. They're like water cockroaches. They're just
Oh,
gross.
bugs.
But yeah, let's digress back to the. I think we pretty much did a good thing with oil. Honestly, I don't know how much more we could do with oil. Was that being like, oh, it's a fossil fuel? It's like
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think we did. I think that's fine. We've made ourselves like one of those alternative resources that could be really useful between the gas and the oil itself. I think that works really well.
The Leopleurodon lived rent free in my head for quite a while when I saw it in some documentaries as a kid. Let me look that up real quick. You people are just
Yeah.
pitching words at me. I know you're trying to make me look stupid. I can't pronounce these.
Yes,
Oh,
Leopleurodon.
whoa, this guy's
Yeah.
cool. Look at him.
Basically, super croc. Yeah, it's a aquatic dinosaur, as I recall.
He
But
looks like
technically,
a black dragon.
Pretty much, yeah. Like plesiosaurs were kind of cool. Like they're technically not dinosaurs. They're a type of. They're in that same neighborhood, but they're not. In the same way, like a whale is a mammal, but in many ways, it's a mammal on the fringe of what we would consider the kingdom of Mammalia's traits, and we're kind of on that other edge. And plesiosaurs are technically not dinosaurs, but they're dinosaur enough where like some things hold true. This was, by the way, one of the things that ate Dunkleistus, because Dunkleistus was technically only a mid-sized predator in like the Jurassic and late Jurassic period. So yeah, no, this thing would eat them like tuna, which is nuts.
So this thing is a late Jurassic period.
Yes, mid to late, I believe. Yeah.
These things were off the coast of Europe,
Which also, again, like,
modern Europe, of course.
yeah, exactly, because like continental drift changed the way a lot of things look. Technically, Europe at that time was 50% America, 50% Europe.
Y'all
It
out
blows
here.
my mind that the U.S. was actually two separate continents on other sides of the ocean at one point. That literally fragments my brain so much. Magical Leopleurodon. Thank you, DM. I'm glad someone else was going to mention Charlie. Charlie the Unicorn. That's stuck in my head too.
You. Oh,
Dinosaurs are cool, but man, they be scary.
I hate
Just
water. I've seen so many creepy deep sea creatures. Anyway, let's go.
I was gonna say, something tells me you're not a huge fan of Subnautica.
I really do enjoy that game. It's just it kind of got grindy near the end. And I was just like, I get the idea. I know what we're doing here, but yeah, I like the game. I don't have thalassophobia or anything. I don't like hate deep sea. I don't like lose my mind when I see that kind of stuff.
I've definitely started to get it in my older age. Like there's a degree of when you look down and it's pitch black, and as you get older, you start feeling more vulnerable in your mortality. And suddenly the thought that something can just snatch you.
Okay.
Very
Obviously you haven't gone to the bathroom in the middle of the night and looked down at the toilet, because anything can come out of that toilet. Are you afraid of that?
Yeah, no. So here's I can tell you right now. Here's a little diversion, just a slight one. Here in Orlando, there is there's a spring called Wakaiwa Spring. Fantastic park. Can't recommend it enough. But you can actually swim down into the spring. But if you don't swim into the spring, you, for the record, you would need scuba gear and a full wetsuit, because that is cold water, and you need air down there. It's deep. It is literally a black, or I should say, really a blue hole. Light does not reach the bottom. Thank you. And it is the single. I'll take that as a compliment. That is like the single scariest thing. Is like. Because I know what's down there, and I'm not too worried about it. My science brain can be like, it's cool. But, like, there is that caveman dread when you look down there, especially when you see scuba divers go into there. And I can't remember if it's Blue Springs or Wakaiwa, but to put it in perspective how deep that is, and how, like, unknown it is. There was a scuba accident a few years back, like a decade ago, where a scuba diver got lost down there and died. Jesus. They couldn't recover his corpse for weeks because it was literally impossible to find in the dark. That's the kind of thing that when you hit 30, you're like, oh my god, the odds of this happening to me are very remote. But as you get older, you roll the dice more and more, and every person who's ever played a D&D game knows all it takes for a critical one to happen is to roll dice enough. And whatever year you live, that's rolling a die. You're asking for it. So like little things like that didn't bug me when I was younger. Now I'm kind of like, okay.
You live in fear.
Not even in fear, just like I have a healthy respect for the way this could end my life.
The risk-reward system changes when you get older. You realize how many dice you rolled. You're running out of luck.
my dice pool gets bigger and bigger, and suddenly the odds of ones becomes larger and larger. But yeah, we can divert back.
I have to do an automatic ad in 2 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a quick 1 minute ad break, folks. So be just 1 second.
I'm currently listening to Mombasa, the two cellos version of Mombasa from what was it again? Inception. That's been on loop for like 30 minutes. So if I'm bopping my head, that is why. It's a bop.
I don't see an ad showing up on stream. Am I nuts?
Do you have ad blocker on?
No, I have the stream pulled up on my phone just so I could look at it.
Okay. Well, I think it affects phones differently. I don't know. It isn't popping up on mine, but I know for a fact that I have issues with ad blocker sometimes. So,
Yeah, I don't know about that. But, yeah,
awesome.
that'll give us 20 minutes of just leave
Yeah.
me the hell alone with ads, that'll give us enough time to end the stream.
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. I think ad break is done. So let's read the chat. Derek said there's a place like that in Texas called Jacob's Well. I think I've actually heard of Jacob's Well. Nara says, I'm sort of reminded of my family's trip to the Enchanted River in the Philippines when we visited. We were only on the surface, though. I'm not actually aware of it as dangerous as the places you're describing, though I kind of remember that there are parts of it that swimmers aren't allowed to go to, so it probably is dangerous in some parts. Super pretty, at least.
I think any spring is dangerous if you're trying to dive into it. It's just a current and it's a deep hole.
I think any
And
river
that's
is dangerous. I've
Yeah.
spent most of my life very close to the Mississippi. I could never imagine trying to swim that thing. It is terrifying. People don't realize that thing is a mile wide, like almost a mile wide in a lot of the parts of it. And there's people that swam across it. Good for them. I can't even run a mile. I'd sink halfway through. Like that would be horrible.
no. God forbid you're at any of the places where there's actually current.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
And
I've whitewater rapided, and I remember the first thing that the person who was doing was telling us is like, hey, if you get thrown from the boat, the one thing you're gonna want to do is make sure you don't get into one of those like eddies where the rapids are, where they make an underwater like cavitation bubble.
Yeah.
Because that will just kill you. That'll just trap you, and you'll just get stuck. Good luck. You're like, oh, thanks.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
There was a where my aunt lives, she lives like right on the Mississippi, and she has this boat ramp. And the problem with this boat ramp is it gets slick 2 times a year. It gets slick when it's really cold, and it gets slick when it's summertime, because there's like this slimy algae that sort of sticks to it. So I can't tell you how many times I've gone down there to go fishing, and I almost slip and go right into the river. Yeah, that was a terrifying thing that like haunted my nightmares when I was a kid, but it doesn't bother me anymore.
It is when you go and buy like 15 feet of like grip tape for skateboards and you put that shit down on there.
Yeah, no kidding. That was terrible. That scared the crap out of me.
So we do have one word I think left.
Yeah, we have toxic. That's
yeah.
So toxic is it's kind of a word that we use a lot these days to mean something other than just like something you shouldn't eat. Toxic usually is bad behavior. It's general like negative and bad behavior. But are we gonna take it more in the literal sense or more in like the what's the word I'm looking for? Contemporary sense.
Yeah. I think in the Jesus, Derek.
My ex-girlfriend, boom.
Yikes.
Oh man, that's true. So
we were all gonna see that joke pop up in one form. I think using it in the abstract sense to describe a relationship, or in this case, a relationship between groups, is probably the best way to do it. Because I think we've pretty well touched on like the wastes can be poisonous. Like we've established that this Aeus is post-apocalyptic.
Right.
Dust is not healthy to be around. There's a reason dust guilds exist, because your average person doesn't want to lose 10 years off their life trying to make a hydrant work. But a dust guild might be willing to like sub-loan out someone to help keep your plumbing running in an important enough part of a small city-state or a big city-state. So, like, there is definitely obvious danger, and I think toxicity is implied. I think we even, like, when we first talked about dust, we called it, like, magical fallout.
Yeah.
From the world that was. And so, yeah, like, I think that's a pretty self-evident thing. But beyond the obvious, like, there's parts of the world that are toxic. Totally, yeah, no, that's... I think we covered that with Void as well.
Yeah, I don't think we need to reiterate
but
it.
Tension between groups, I think, is a good idea, because that also can sort of provide us with a guide to how interaction between city-states and communities works. There's always a degree of toxicity brought on by, like, the necessity of survival in this circumstance, right?
Yeah, and the only nation that we have established, quote unquote, which I wrote a short story about, and I'm gonna post that in the chat because I'm shameless. Let's see here. Let's see. Where the hell did I put that?
I
No.
think it's in the World Anvil, right?
Yeah, it's on World Anvil. I'm just trying to pull it up real quick. Tethastris. Yeah, the way I world build on World Anvil is I don't put a bunch of numbers and stuff like that. The way that the way that like Forgotten Realms does, it's just like, whoa, what's the population and stuff, like what's all these like intrinsic numbers that don't mean anything. My mind got stuck and I need to share how pretty it is. Oh yeah, I'll pull it up on stream there. It's no problem. Let's see what it is. Oh wow, that's like, wow, that's, hey, wow, you can like almost see the, yeah, you can see the bottom. Wow, that is like bizarre looking almost. That's really cool though.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love those. I love those kind of like beautiful. You can see the bottom of it. It's so awesome.
That's really cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. I like that. That's pretty. I highly doubt that most of the water in AS looks like that. I think most of AS's water is gonna look horrible.
Yeah, I think like maybe in like Deep Void you might find places where the water has been relatively untapped or unpolluted, or the pollution's a different kind that you can't see.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think a pretty firm understanding is if you find water, it's probably brown. So you're gonna want to run that through a couple sheepskins before you drink it.
So what I was saying was we have one nation that's established so far, and that's Tethastris. And I think this would be a good spot to say, what tensions does Tethastris have with the rest of the world? Because we've sort of already said that. Derek and I were talking about that on World Breakers, and we sort of like set a precedent for this nation being like highly pious and sort of dookie water. Thank you. Tethastris is this nation of like zealotry, and they sort of believe in their cause to the extent that they're willing to sort of destroy their citizenry, and maybe some could be deceptively pretty, like it's pretty, it's like super acidic. Oh, like the what are those called? Those acid pools? Is that what they are? It's naturally occurring acid.
Yeah,
They looks like water.
We're around like large hot springs or in areas, because that's what it is, like volcanic hot springs or volcanic geysers, because it's literally just water being pushed up by lava, and everyone always forgets that lava is beyond being hotter than anything you can imagine. No, seriously, it's hotter than that. Like whatever you're thinking of is hotter.
Yeah.
It is also a highly toxic. It is sulfur. It is
sulfur pools. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Yeah, like there are.
They're really pretty.
There's actually, I know one of the big things we're terrified of happening in Yellowstone is because of how volcanic it is. That if Yellowstone ever emits a sulfur pocket, it could turn the pools of water across Yellowstone into sulfuric acid in short order.
Oh, jeez.
Which we wouldn't know, by the way, until we either smell it or notice that things go into the water and instantly begin to sizzle.
So what you're saying is we'd find out way too late.
Exactly. Besides the whole idea of like that much sulfur and methane emitting suddenly into the atmosphere might cause a second dark age. But that's neither here nor there.
Perfect.
Yeah, climate science. Not don't look into it if you want to have a happy day. But
so
if you're a world builder, it's cool.
It is, yeah. That's a really cool concept to. Yeah, it's definitely something we could be thinking about. I'll pen that down just for an idea, like a.
We'll jot that down for the future.
Definitely for toxic, yeah. Like.
Yeah. As far as the nation state goes, so I'm actually right now on the sly. I've been working on a smaller nation state, sort of built around that Tethered, the Glazier that I've mentioned frequently on the stream, which is the one who makes glass, hence the name Glazier, which is a person who makes glass. I like the idea of a city-state that is effectively dominated by Tethered, but in this case, dominated by Tethered in the way that it is effectively a pet city-state,
Mhm.
where they have come to rely on the Tethered, and as a result, the most powerful Tethered is by proxy leader. And while the nation-state itself probably has its own proper government, they kind of defer to this terrifying entity that floats into town occasionally and is like, how are things going? Oh, that doesn't meet my criteria. You're going to want to carry away the old king. Maybe put him up as a statue in the gardens. I don't know. He could be cool like that now that he's glass. Next guy. So I've been working on this this other faction. I'm still working out the name.
You mean they don't quite
I
glaze
had
the
a name
donuts?
until I realized it was literally something that I had heard in Dragon Age verbatim, and my mind put it away and forgot to recognize it. So I'm rewriting the name. But I know for them, their society is far more. What the proper word would be, a-religious. There's a term. Secular.
Secular, yeah.
Yeah. So besides religious issues with a culture like that, you would also have issues in terms of power consolidation.
Yeah.
I think the thing that everyone's going to fight over most is resources, and anything else is an excuse to get resources, however contrived it may or may not be. Like religion in, like, what was the purpose of the Crusades? Well, it wasn't actually to spread the word of Jesus. It was because that Middle East sure looks really full of plunder. Can't wait to get some of it into crap Europe. And, well, you know, that they almost succeeded a couple of times. Almost. Way to go. But no, not really. The Crusades were terrible. I'm not encouraging them. They were terrible. Like, I need to preface that.
Yeah, you. I hate the Crusades. Ah, shucks. Damn, what a hot take.
Like maybe 500 years ago.
Derek was saying when I was talking about Thethastris, he said anti-hope. Yeah, that is. We don't like positive emotion around these here parts. I mean that is true-ish.
Yeah. No, they don't glaze the donuts. Or if they do, you don't want them to glaze the donuts.
What are they good for?
That would be very sad.
Oh, I want donut. I don't want a glass donut.
I want donuts too. I just don't want my donut turned into a glass sculpture when I want to eat it. That wouldn't be nice.
That's some Looney Tunes shit. It's like
that would just be petty. Like if a Tethered did something so childish to be like, "Fuck your donut." Like
I'm sure there's Tethered that are that petty though. Let's be honest.
I'm
like,
sure. Yeah. That is a really funny image.
Fuck your donut.
Yeah, no. I think that would be a thing. I think we can also read into toxicity for positive city-state relationships as well. The idea of either vassal states forcibly controlled through resources, or even terms allies who are only on even terms because they have kind of a Cold War mutually assured destruction kind of deal going, or an understanding that both of them are pivotal at the moment. But it doesn't mean both of them aren't constantly trying to upset that balance for their own gain.
See, Thethastris, I put them sort of like an isolationist nation, so they have they have a lot, and I mean a lot of dust to give, but they choose not to because they don't want to they don't want other people to get ideas from the outside world, much akin to how communism works. It's just like they wanted to keep out things from the Western world or any other part of the world so people don't get like, oh, maybe communism isn't as good as we thought it was, that sort of thing. I think Thethastris does the same exact thing, but they have an easier time doing it because they are in a frozen hellscape, and trying to escape Thethastris is akin to Luke wandering Hoth. You know,
not a good time.
Not a good idea, or not a good time. So I think Thethastris is this sort of like communist theocracy, sort of isolationist nation. And now I'm not shitting on communism because I know a lot of people want for communism, but most people that claim to be communist here in the United States, they want socialism. Let's be quite honest. They don't want we don't want the repercussions that come with communism. I mean, look what
Also,
happened to
doesn't hurt the fact that communism, as far as we can tell, is currently impossible. Because in the same
Yeah.
way, it's the same thing as like when someone talks about the idealized, what was the term? The philosopher kingdom. Like,
Yeah.
cool, great idea on paper. Good luck finding someone who fits that qualification perfectly enough to not devastate your society when they die.
Yeah,
Um,
like perfect communism, what people want to strive for is a pipe dream.
Or at
Socialism
least in
though
this
isn't
day.
as far. Yeah, well, socialism isn't far away. So
Yeah,
let's go for the next
it's
best thing.
yeah, exactly. It's Star Trek. It's the Star Trek thing, you know, where it's like,
Yeah.
is it possible for us to aspire to the next generation? Aspire, yes.
Yeah.
Achieve in our lifetime? Probably not. But could we get to Deep Space Nine? Probably. That's a little more believable. Go watch Deep Space Nine if you haven't watched it.
Derek said the best options typically lie in a blend of good ideas. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree
exactly.
with that.
You don't need
You
to-
can't have like if you have two extremes, it's like snow miser and heat miser. You have one that's way too hot, way too cold. You need somewhere in between because you're not
I
gonna.
need someone to slap them both around and tell them to stop arguing.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
Here's your
this one.
cute little scene. Now get to freaking work. I just saved you all from watching that movie. That's the story. That's the story. Heat Miser and Snow Miser need to get their crap together.
Yeah.
But I think that's a fair idea, and I like that actually. I know that. Me, folks, I'm just jamming on music on my end. Anyhow, I have actually come up with a name for the nation state. I'm gonna go with it in a second so that Red can hear. But in the meantime, I'll give you guys a brief rundown. So the idea of the city-state, the structure at least that I have of the Glazier's personal area, is more or less. I'm thinking very much a Helm's Deep style city, a constantly under siege city, whether that be from pirates, predatory communities, something of that nature. Same general gist. And so this city has to be continuously defended. Welcome back. Also, just in case you're muted.
Yeah, I
there
know.
you go.
I was just unmuting everything.
Okay, you're good.
Family aggro.
Yeah. You good, man?
Yeah, no.
I actually, I actually have come up with a name for it.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Of the city, which I'm going to just write that out. But I think Glaswall is literally what I'm going to go with.
Glaswall.
Simple. So the idea behind it is that it is a city-state besieged. I'm literally imagining a society in a near perpetual state of Helm's Deep. Not quite full on endlessly, not like endlessly Sauron's armies or like Isengard's armies, but in that same sort of ballpark of they have to be in that state of near readiness at all times, which is why they subordinate themselves to effectively the whims of these tethered for whom they depend on their survival. And the reason it's called Glaswall is because that is their primary defense is during a major battle. And this I have thought about for a while as like a way to establish the Glaziers as a figure, as like the example of this is how crazy tethered get.
Right.
That the Glazier saved the city by wiping out hundreds of people and turning them into a glass forest. So basically the glass wall is literally this huge dead zone of volcanic glass surrounding the city, where in order to escape it, the people of Glaswall have only one passage in and out, and the back of the city is against a mountain. And so the only real way to get in is to go through this no man's land of razor sharp glass or down a very well patrolled bottleneck area they can police. And so the structure of that city, I figure, is probably a more traditional monarchy or nobility, except they're only that way until the tethered come into town from their own separate settlement further into the void where they emerge from when they see the need. And basically for them, the need is when they feel that their pet city is being threatened and it might jeopardize the resources they require to survive.
So
yeah.
Glaswell sort of sounds authoritarian.
It is. It's I think authoritarian would be fair. It probably has some elements of like republic elements or representative elements in its base structure because of the size of it. I don't think it'd be particularly huge.
Well, see,
but-
what you described to me, I'm thinking about it from like, you know, the Glacier, assuming that they're still alive.
They are. They are definitely a tyrant.
So
Straight up.
okay, so it's I'm getting what is the word I'm looking for? Feudalist sort of vibes. So like these people sort of give things to be under the Glazier's protection. So it's like an authoritarian feudalist society, which is weird. I don't.
Yeah, it's literally a. I believe the proper term for this would be a protectorate monarchy, where the idea of a protectorate is a city-state under the protection of a larger, more powerful state. So effectively a colonized locality. But in this instance, it is a kingdom unto itself. But it is a kingdom unto itself that effectively it is only that way when the tethered aren't there. When the tethered are there, it ceases all pretense of being a monarchy and becomes a true authoritarian society and effectively goes into an emergency state under the tethered's both protection and control.
So a protectorate is a state that's controlled and protected by another. So are you saying that like the implication would be is the Glacier?
I think the Glacier and his apprentices would be effectively the military power unto themselves, effectively an army.
Well, what if Glaswell, instead of just being one city, what if it's a series of cities? Because that would kind of make sense that like, or like a few different areas, because that would make sense that to be a protectorate, you have to. One would have to have their own separate nation protecting another.
Right. And that's fair. That could work. Like, I'm using the terms very loosely here, and protectorate was as close as I could find, because it's basically a nation that the second that the owner actually comes knocking, they kind of have to get in position. So I think that would be fair. They're definitely authoritarian. You're right. The only reason why I would say that they don't have a lot of the trappings of authoritarianism in that same way is because they only have it when they are only really truly authoritarian when the tethered arrive, but they have a very loose control. They don't feel the need to directly command the economy like you have in a lot of authoritarian states in the modern age.
Right.
They don't directly command many of the social structures. Here's the only comparison I can really make, and it's kind of weird, but follow me on this. If anyone out there has watched A Bug's Life, I know this is the weirdest thing.
Here we go.
Here we go. If anyone out there has watched A Bug's Life, and you remember the grasshopper's relationship with the ants, where the grasshoppers say we will protect you from the outside world, but they're really extorting them. The difference is in this case, while that relationship is the relationship, and while I don't necessarily think the Glacier is particularly malevolent, he's definitely not purely benevolent. There is definitely a, yes, we will help you. There is a cost. But unlike in Ants, where the entire premise is, well, it's really just pure extortion. They're not really protecting them from shit. They're just stopping by once a year and offering them protection money from the oops insurance kind of style.
Right.
In this instance, it is literally a your nation state or your city state, really city state, because again, I'm trying to keep things relatively small scale just to keep it within AES. But they are besieged, likely by, I think, some combination both of either void creatures or actual just like pirates or other nation states constantly trying to pillage them. It could be because of their location. They could just be very valuable strategically. But either way, they really are constantly under attack. And they kind of do subordinate themselves to the tethered because the tethered really aren't that obtrusive, and they only really become obtrusive when they want them to be. It's almost a symbiotic relationship, but from the outside, it would look very much like every witch hunter's nightmare scenario of these tethered roll into town and take it over whenever they want and lay waste to anyone who dares oppose them, which is true.
So they just like abdicate their throne like whenever they feel like it. They just come and go as they please.
Pretty much. Like,
Oh,
they
wow.
would still have to answer to the populace for most of the things that go wrong. But during a wartime scenario, I figure the assumption is by them, hold out until the tethered get here. At which point the tethered become the rulers of the town during war. And the usual like payment would probably be here's foodstuffs or whatever you might need. We might send a couple of dust users with you if you so desire. Basically, the tether just sort of ask for the things they need and take them when they leave. And because there's only a couple of tethered, like I can't imagine more than like 5 to 10 of them at tops. Like probably 5 is probably as big as I want them to be. Because the Glazer himself is already a pretty powerful tethered.
Right.
But that is the trick. It's that it is a small city-state that under any other circumstance would be kind of boned. But it's in a somewhat defensible position, and it has 5 really big guns that occasionally come to answer its call. And the trade-off is the guns are bigger than they are, and whenever they're in town, they call the shots through raw necessity. And I love the idea of that, of a nation that kind of has to surrender, like on the regular, that has to abdicate to a party, to another party for their own protection. It raises all sorts of ethical conundrums and would be a great opportunity for role players.
That happens a lot, even in the world that we live in now. But
yeah, no, definitely.
I think that's a without getting too far into Glaswall, because Glaswall is definitely a thing that we could spend literal hours talking about. I think that is where we will stop the stream for the night, because we are at 2:38 right now, which is great. I'm glad. It's been a very amazing stream, might I say. Before
we both slept walk into it. It's turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I got woken up pretty quick. Thank you, Soul. Thank you, Derek. Thank you. Let's see who else is. Thank you, Omni, for subbing, and just thank you everybody for being a part of this with me, with us, and here's links. I don't know why you wouldn't be following these two amazing gentlemen, but please stop by and check out their stuff. I'm a part of a lot of their stuff. They're a part of a lot of my stuff. But we will be live tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time with Nick B of GM. What is it? GM.
Hidden GM.
Hidden GM's podcast. Which I'll link them again because I'm an idiot and I keep forgetting Hidden GM. It's such a good pun too, and I don't know how I forget it. Like I said, I'm just a dummy. And Another Bad Side Quest. Darren of Another Bad Side Quest. I'll link those folks in the chat. They'll be on tomorrow, and they'll be our guests. We're gonna start an hour later than we usually do. We'll start at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, because of scheduling things. That's not a regular thing that's going to be happening. It's just I'm compensating for guests and stuff like that for outside stuff. But again, thank you, folks. Check out their Twitters for me, please, if you would. And before we go, I am going to run an ad because I have to, so don't get mad at me. But during the ad break, please suggest people that we should raid that are live right now. And folks, we will be right back to say our last goodbye. Thank you. And the ads are rolling. Okay.
I think was more productive than I could have hoped for. I was assuming we were both gonna just like sleepwalk through this one, but like,
Trav said, "Let's go ad break."
yeah, I don't think that's anything that's. I don't think it's really that possible for us to do that. Just the nature of this, we end up deep diving almost every time. and I love
Yeah,
that.
just we gotta, we gotta wake up a little bit. God damn, though, that's that hype train at the beginning. Oh man.
Welcome to the streaming community.
Yeah,
I will say,
wow.
like, usually when you
Oh.
first make affiliate, there's like a huge surge of affection. The trick is not keeping it because that's not fair,
That's the
but like maintaining it over a longer period of time. And I think this stream is very well positioned to do that. There's a lot of legs in the concept behind Writer's Block, as well as also your channel generally. So yeah, I think you got this, man.
Something's telling me that, folks. Do you still hear us in the chat? I'm just curious.
Where's my ad? Haha. Yeah. Oh, I was.
Where's
too.
my ad?
I think it could be if there's not a
There's
if you
not
guys
any
have
ads
ad
preloaded?
block on, like it might be filtering that.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the stream on my phone, and no ads right now, which is weird. But
Yeah.
is this
The
for
ad
like
break system's a little bit weird, I think.
Yeah, don't know what's up with that. I can see you, hear you, and love you. I love you too,
Oh,
Drabs. Thank you.
Drabs, thank you.
You're too kind.
You guys got to peer behind the scenes, and we're like, "Ugh."
we're just. I mean, we're not much different on stream than we are off stream. We're just.
That's true. We both kept our pants on, so that's a good sign. No flags for us tonight, thank you.
Don't have ads on. Yeah, that's weird. It's not. It's not actually streaming my ads, which is not terrible. I'm getting counted for ad time.
Yeah, that'll do.
So, whatever. If they're not gonna stream an ad, I'll just keep talking.
Yeah.
Take my love or take my tough love. I will give both. I'll take both. Thank you.
I'll just take the love. Thank you very much. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Unless I'm playing D&D, then I am 100% a fighter, like every time. Sorry, I'm that.
Pretty sure the sub thing has a perk like no ads. Oh, that might have
Oh.
something to do with it.
Oh,
well.
about that.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway,
That'll do it. Yeah.
I'll run ads anyway, just because. Oh man.
Like, it's ad break time. Man, those guys all watching ads, like
Those idiots
Meanwhile,
watching ads.
everyone watching us sit here like.
I forgot that like all of you are subbed now because of the gift sub.
The whole chat is subbed.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
Subs get ad-free broadcasting experience. That's nice.
That explains
Okay.
so very much.
Well, great. Anyway,
Sick.
let's all right, let's figure out who to raid. Who's live right now.
Yeah, we
we can
didn't
raid.
see any suggestions, so let's do it.
Clip that. Don't clip that, please. Don't. Anything but
Oh,
that. Have
God.
mercy.
I'm gonna see if I spot anybody out there who's currently active.
Hey, Stinky.
What's up?
What?
where was
Oh,
the
that's not
phone?
possible.
Right up there.
Oh, I'm on the wrong page. That'll explain a lot. I think go stream manager, host. Who's hostable? Sadly, right now, like all the folks that I'm seeing are just like the really big names who really don't need a raid at like 900 plus people on every single one of them, and all of them are video gaming.
Yeah, I'm trying to find somebody that
any
we can.
TTRPG suggestions out there, chat? Get fucked, Bezos. Oh god.
Double dipping, baby. Give me the cash. Give me that fat stacks. Looking for someone to raid.
Yes.
Yes, we are. I don't want to raid with somebody that has like a crap ton of viewers already. Though I want to raid somebody that needs viewers.
At least someone who's in the community.
Andrew Kaiser is streaming. Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Is it Andrew Kaiser or Andrew Kaiser? Because I've known.
It looks like it's Andrew Kaiser. I'd assume.
If he is live, I will.
Yeah, I think that's Andrew Kaiser.
Oh yeah, I'll just go ahead and frickin' raid him real quick. Jedi Fallen Order. Oh yeah. That game's cool. I wish there was a little bit more to it. It's not as in depth as I was like for like a Soulsborne-esque game, but
Yeah.
I should suggest someone, but no one knows her, and I'm pretty sure Omni hasn't finished Hollow Knight yet.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. No, I haven't. I need to do that on stream along with Halo Infinite. So, should we say our God, when I said like I said in my head I said, should we say our goodbyes? And then I immediately realized how dark that sounds.
Yeah, we're never doing this show again, thanks. No, but we're gonna be live again tomorrow. Just like I said, folks, hour later than usual. If you're watching and you haven't followed, please follow. You won't regret it, I promise. We do some cool stuff here. I'm gonna have another show very soon, and
make it worth your while.
I got some little exciting news here at the end. Ethan Reynolds said that they would do a show with me, so
Nice.
so hopefully I'm gonna be able to run one of their games on the chat with them here, so they can be the literal rules lawyer of their own game. So I don't know what days we're gonna be doing that yet, but I'm gonna be figuring it out. Sort of TBD, big fat TBD right there. Maybe Tuesday. I think Tuesday is the only day I really have free, but anyway, we'll figure it out as we go. But again, thank you, folks. We're gonna be rating Andrew Kaiser. He's playing Star Wars Fallen Order, and thank you all for stopping by. Thank you again, Soul. Thank you again, Derek, for the subscription, for all the gift subs. Thank you, Omni, for your sub. I appreciate you very much, man. I appreciate
Always
all of
a
you.
pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure. You can catch me. I'll be back on tomorrow. Of course, I'll be also popping on Saturdays on DMDM's channel because, of course, I will. I love those guys.
Yeah, we're getting
And
back to it on Saturday. I'm hyped for that.
so ready for that. I've been waiting. And also, I have been tentatively working behind the scenes on both Legacy and the AS demo. I intend to return to streaming towards the end of the month on Wednesdays and Saturdays at different times than we play at. So if you're more interested in slightly more morning content, keep an eye out. We're going to have some surprises. You might even see this duo pop back on that eventually. We're going to work on that.
Hell yeah.
But both legacy content and the odd hangout gaming stream, as well as also just like general role-playing stuff. So keep an eye out, folks. I'll let you know when I go back on. But until then, peace, everybody.
Have a good one, folks. We'll see you again tomorrow night. And raid in 10 seconds.
Everyone sign up. That's you. Do it or
We want you to raid.
Yes.
All right.
Wow, that's pretty much everyone in the raid, yeah. No.
Hell yeah, let's go, boys. And girls, sorry. I don't want to be sexist.
T-pose.
T-pose?
Many T-pose out there. Yes.
T-pose? T-pose?
The T yes, the T-pose.
Okay, we are now hosting.
Yep. And we can
Okay.
end the stream.